Hey everybody, Roll the Lines UK, Matt and Ash all here. We're about to click the button to get started, but hope you're all well. Thank you to everyone in the chat for saying hello at the start. Marcus says, we are cursed. Hello, Marcus. Your sentiments, I think, are resembling a lot of what the Lions fans feel right now. Michael Lucci says, I'm a broken man. Grandizer 12, an equally broken man. Maybe for a longer time because his Dolphins fandom says, hilly ho, lads, hilly ho. We call this Loser Monday when a bloke is feeling low, down, and feeling shame. A horrible feeling, don't you know? And SOE Line 26 says, love the Lions, but I don't see how they can overcome all these injuries on defense against the better team. Brent is in the chat too, so 64, and never remember having 20 players on IR. We've been improvising, adapting, and overcoming all season, which is a very fair point. If you have questions for us, and there may well be many from you guys this week, please do get them in at the channel so I can see it. You guys know what to do by now. Anything you guys want to talk about before we hit record?
I'm sorry, my birthday cursed us all. The Lions are now banned from playing on my birthday for the rest of time. And also, I'm sorry, Ant, only one person donated £10, so I only had one shot yesterday.
We had two.
Oh, yeah. The second one, it was a good donation. It's because of the Dan Skipper touchdown. I was like, I'm happy. Let's have a shot.
Yeah.
That's the only time. I should have taken a load more.
You should have been a man and done it for subs, not for $10 subs. That was giving yourself an easy out. So
I had work at 6.
Not you, Ash. Matt set the rules.
Well, we talked about it beforehand, but
yeah.
But
no, you've got to set something easier than that. So you've got to do subs. That way, we must have had about 25 when I did subs because I was leathered.
We have very few people who actually watch us on Twitch anymore, though. So subs on YouTube don't really mean anything, if you know what I mean. And there's not many people on Twitch to do that. So anyway, potentially a new chatter that I've not seen before. Areola Grande.
Great name.
Let's talk about moving forward. I don't like injury excuses. Bills are also down 5 defensive starters playing practice squad guys. What sucked is that we had to get out of the run. Yes, they were also injured. They were significantly less injured than us. But Dan would not allow that as an excuse for the team either way.
100%. Well, yeah. He even said it himself, like it's on him for not getting prepared. Like, yeah, the Bills are down 5 starters. They didn't really have a major injury during the game.
No.
We had 4. Like, yeah. Any update? No, not yet, Brent. I am looking. Dan is having a press conference in half an hour, so 8 o'clock our time. So if that's if we're still going and he says anything good, I'll put it in. But right now it's
Grandizer, stop twisting my words. I didn't say that subs on YouTube do not matter. What I was saying is once you've subbed once, you can't sub again. So then there's nothing that anyone on YouTube could do to get one of us to have a drink if you're already subbed to the channel, apart from unsub and resub, which for me wouldn't count.
Tell a dad joke that's so bad it makes Ash laugh. That we could do that.
I mean, I think I've only managed that once.
I'm sure there's someone out there who can do it. There's got to be a lot of dads out there, so.
Yeah, lots of good chat in there. Howdy to Mike the Marine as well. All right, let's get on with this.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Royal the Lions UK podcast, episode 315. Alan's got the key. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick and Ashley Soden. How you doing, boys?
We've been better, haven't we, lads? We've been better.
This has been an odd day. I'm not gonna lie. I sort of woke up this morning and it was a bit meh. Yeah, it wasn't the best night. You kind of feel a bit morose and sorry for yourself. We're not used to non-victory Mondays anymore, but as the days kind of gone on, and I do the bad thing that is, well, because I do Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot the day after, and over the course of the day, I think I've gone from feeling sorry for myself to feeling hardline. I've been turned into a hardliner today. I'm actually at the point now where I'm just like, I see everybody's writing us off. Everybody says the season's done. I mean, you can sense the mocking pity coming from everybody who are just absolutely fucking delighted that we've lost and that we're absolutely injury ravaged at the minute and we may not win the Super Bowl as we thought. And it's just so fake. And it's to the point now where I'm like, you know what? Fuck the lot of you. All you haters out there. We're going to carry on winning. We're going to shove this right in your face. And you're just making it a lot sweeter for us when we do. You've not watched this team. You've not watched this team over the last 3 years. If you've seen them come, they've hit a wall of adversity. Every single time they bounce back. And they find a way. The coaches adapt, the players adapt, and we carry on moving forward. And if you've not learned that lesson by now, then you don't watch this team. I'm done with all the negativity against. I'm done with people writing us off. Screw it. We have lost one game. We lose games during the season. Every team loses games during the season. This Buffalo Bills team has lost 3 games this season. No one's won more games than we have this year. We're not dead. We're not in an existential crisis. We don't need to all be chucking ourselves off balconies and stuff like that. We are still, the world is our oyster, and we have our big punch left with us with our offense here. So keep on mocking us. Keep on writing our season off. Keep being dicks, because you are only going to make our resolve stronger, and it's only going to make it sweeter when we prove you wrong. That's how my day's gone. I woke up feeling nothing. So thank you to everyone who has given me this inspiration I needed today to be like this.
Yeah.
I mean, I think either you need to click that up for socials, or we could just end the show right now, because I think that's probably all that needs to be said.
That's it. That's easily done.
That's
I
awesome.
just hope TikTok doesn't mind swearing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit.
Yeah, just a tiny bit. There's a reason why I have to now be selective when I post clips.
Just
We have a good bit.
just put little Tweety bird sounds over the swear word. You know, like you can block them out.
I can
Just have a little
I can
Tweety bird.
try.
Just doo 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 doo.
Oh god, just random
Do you remember-
sounds
do you
from a
remember it's like-
soundboard.
It's
even better, yeah.
It's like on Family Guy when they get censored and he's there just saying all these words and they're just blowing an air horn every second word he's saying something and you have to put it together. Like just be like that.
I've started watching a TikTok channel. Of course, TikTok's not going to be a thing in America in a few weeks, but started watching a TikTok channel which is called, I think, Unnecessarily Censored, and it's just bleeping out where it sounds like someone should be swearing, but they're not, and it's like in Harry Potter or something like that. It sounds, it's so good.
Yeah, or they do it so it sounds like it's like an innuendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I'm going to stick my beep in your beep. It's probably foot in your ass or something. Anyway, right, let's get on with this. I'm going to skip over the preamble stuff. You guys know what to do by now. You guys know how to show love. So thank you in advance. Injuries are the place where we need to start, I think, in this game. 4 significant injuries in this game. All 4 players may be out for the season, depending on how the season lasts. 2 of them definitely. 2 of them could be back. We don't know yet. So first up, defensive tackle Liam McNeil, torn ACL, out for the season. Unfortunately, definitely status up in the air potentially for week 1 of next year. We'll see ACL 6 to 9 months sort of thing. So if it's 8, then that puts it squarely in the realm of week 1. Khalil Dorsey, cornerback, he's got a fractured leg. Dan said it's a very similar injury to what Hutchinson had. Fingers crossed it's a clean break. We'll see.
Having seen it, I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know.
Praying for him because he'd done so well for us in relief. Another cornerback, Carlton Davis, he's got a fractured jaw which needs surgery. He'll be out for apparently 6 weeks. That timeline puts him at fringe status for the NFC Championship game if the Lions get there. And then David Montgomery, his status is up in the air. He's done his MCL in some capacity. Some reports have said sprained. Some reports have said torn. All reports have basically said out indefinitely, but that doesn't mean out for the season. It just means out for an indeterminate period of time. Jimmy Liao seems to think it could be a week-to-week thing. Maybe a few weeks and then he's back. He could be out for the season. Seems like we don't really know yet the severity of it, other than it's not ideal, obviously. And I know that you've given us a speech just now about not getting down about this, and we're still going to stick it to people, and it's a resilient team. Absolutely, it is. But we've suffered some injuries through this season, and by some I mean a lot. And this is adding insult to injury, if I can make the worst pun I've ever made. This is a bitter pill to swallow. So to make the point I was making about the jumping off the ledge and whatnot, and about people on Twitter talking about the loss as if it's the loss that matters. I couldn't give two shits about the loss. And we'll go through the game, obviously. And that I said before the game started, a loss matters. It does matter because you want to just win. And, winning is a habit and losing is a habit. So winning was important. But now the game has been and gone, I don't really care about the L. In fact, I was actually pretty impressed with how he played, especially on offense. But the injuries affect the long-term outlook a little bit, right?
Oh God, yeah. Like it would be silly to say they don't. I think my point of view from where I'm here is like when you've been through so much bad, like we all have, and we've watched a terrible team for a very long time, and usually at this point we're getting bored of doing draft content at this point because it's been that long we've been doing it already. I try and look on the positive side because I know where we've been and where we are now, and where we are now is a 12-2 team with the number one seed in the NFC right now, with the schedule that we can still see out the season with, and be able to, we can still do something this year. And as far as I'm concerned, we've still got the strongest part of our team, mostly without Monty now, intact. So yes, the injuries are bad, but it's very easy to drag yourself into a negative state of thought if you just start focusing on the injuries. Like, I can focus on the injuries. I miss Rodrigo already. I really want him back. He's out for 9 months, and that could make me sad. And, I miss a lot of these guys we don't have, like more so than Hutch and everyone. But I don't want to give in to that state of mind because at the end of the day, and I can use logic based on this. What I've seen this team do is every time it's been hemmed up by a wall and, it's stuck between a rock and a hard place, it's fought its way out of it. It's found a way to develop, and that is what the DNA of this team is. And yes, I know we're getting low on bodies, but again, we have an offense that can outscore anybody in the NFL. And, we stayed toe-to-toe with the Bills in this. And I will talk about the game later, but 5-minute time of possession difference for them. It said whoever won the time of possession wins this game. That 5 minutes is ours and not theirs. We win this game, and it's just fine little margins, but we can still throw a punch that can knock everybody out in this league. So while the injury is bad, we have to focus on the now because we still have a really good opportunity this year, and we can't give in to despair. And that's kind of why I feel like I have done over the course of the day, that everybody is already right. And people want us to argue. People want us to fight. People want us to be doom and gloom. They want us to, be back to how we were 3 years ago when Fat Matt was still here and ruining our lives. So, it's going to hurt us, no doubt. But I also know that this team fights out of holes better than any team in the NFL. So I choose to look at the positives there, and I choose to look at how we can still win this. Even when we're a poor ass team, you always think, how can you win a game? You're the worst team in the NFL against the best team in the NFL. How can you win? And because we've been bad for so long, that's just the mentality I'm setting with now. I'm refusing to look at this and let myself be taken negatively by it. Obviously, for all the players, I want them to come back healthy. It's terrible to lose them, and it's just such a big opportunity for us. But they'll get right. They'll be back. for now, let's just back everyone who's in this room who can go and hope we get a few bodies back, because Anzo's coming back hopefully soon. That's the big key. We missed Anzalone so much this week. You get him back, you get your green dot back, you get your leader back. All of a sudden, that just shoots an injection of talent throughout your room. And yes, can regret saying that till the end of time, because that could be clipped back 50 times as to what I've said. But yeah, anyway,
Yeah,
that's where
a
I'm at.
sentence I bet you never thought you'd say when Anzalone first signed for us.
No, I'm quite happy to say that, I was wrong. I'm never perfect on these things. So, but yeah, as I say, the injuries are bad, but we still have an opportunity here, and we can't give in to despair, because if we do that, we're no better than we were 3 or 4 years ago. And I know this team are not going to give in to despair, and they are going to fight till the last man. So I'll be there with them all the way. I'm not going to give up on anything.
Ash, a lot of injuries, a few of them, well, 3 of them at least, to starting players. That's a lot. I know that me and you were maybe of a similar mind after and during this game compared to Ant, who's kind of come out swinging, shall we say.
Yeah, like I'm still there. As I said to you before, just before Ant joined, like you literally joined a bit of the tail end of me saying this. I still think we can win the Super Bowl. It's just this week, yesterday, just made that margin of error so fine for us now. Like it will have to be 2016 Lions game plans where it's a load of game-winning drives and the offense and all that, because unless some miracle happens, we're not holding teams to 20, 25 points a game now. There's just no way. Like there's too much. Like, and that's not me trying to be a doubter. Like there probably will be games where we can do it, but I'm not counting on it, especially in the playoffs where if we do make it far, we'll be coming up against really good offenses. But I have faith this offense can take up the slack. We saw it yesterday, either with Monty out, without a run game. Like it was just suspectly gone yesterday for a team that's supposed to be bad at defending the run because of how they set up. The Bills did really well defending it to the point where Monty had 5 carries for 4 yards with a longer 3. He was just getting bottled up. Gibbs managed to break a few in the outside zones, but for the most part, we didn't have a run game. This was the Tampa game pretty much all over again, but we managed to grit it out again. I know we lost, but we really did make a comeback, and it can happen. We've got special teams who can do it, though obviously having Dorsey go out really hurts that because he was a damn good gunner. Like you could see the difference in the kick coverages when he was gone, because those returners suddenly had an extra couple of yards, and it meant the difference between a fair catch and then returning it for 10 yards. Like these injuries, yeah, it is insult to injury. It is really piling up. People will be doubting us, but we'll be able to grit it out. Like Antonio coming back will really help, because that's what was the main issue yesterday. I was saying over and over again, Matt can back me up because I kept saying it. The issue on the defense yesterday, aside from injuries, was just not having linebackers. Like Campbell did the best he could, but there's only so much he can do when honestly we're having a rotating cast beside him, because none of them can do one thing, more than one thing well. Like Zeke Turner, decent coverage guy, not so good against the run, he's a converted safety. Ben Neiman's the opposite. He's a point and shoot linebacker. You tell him to shoot a gap, he can do it, but you ask him to cover Ty Johnson out the backfield and he's going to get fucking burnt. Like having Anthony come back would be so nice. Having now the chance to maybe use Mosley. I know obviously he's had his injury issues in the past, but he was supposed to be coming on really well in camp before he had his issue. Having him now suddenly be able to come into lineup, having these extra couple of weeks rest because he's been inactive because he doesn't do special teams, that will help. I can trust Gibbs, Varkey, Reynolds, Jamar Jefferson if we call him up off the practice squad, if we sign Donovan Knight, someone like that. I can trust the running game to get back to it, because it was just an uncharacteristic week where Ed Oliver took over the game. I have faith. I still have faith we can do it all. It's just now we need a Eagles Super Bowl winning run when they had Wentz go out and Nick Foles just suddenly became the world's best QB. We need that kind of run, and it is certainly possible. We saw it here. 95% of the time, if you score 42 points in a game, you're probably going to win it. You're really going to probably win it. Like somehow in the same season, we won a game where Goff's thrown 5 interceptions and lost a game where he's thrown 5 touchdowns. That shit usually doesn't happen. This team can overcome pretty much any odds. But right now, unfortunately, I know betting market still probably has one of the favourites for the Super Bowl in the NFC, but that margin of error between us and the Eagles for per se in the NFC, or us, the Bills and the Chiefs, that margin's really slimmed now to the point where it will take like pretty much exceptional performances, no mistakes, which can happen, but at the same time, it's just too much. Sometimes it's not a lot you can do. 2 mistakes happen. That's it.
Right, let's get into the game. So me and Ash went through the inactives during it. So, Ant, I'll just come to you about these. Last week, obviously, we played Broderick Martin and Miles Adams, and Adams acquitted himself very well. Broderick had an up and down day. Both of them were inactive. Obviously, DJ Reader coming back was a big part of that. And otherwise, Emmanuel Mosley also didn't go. All the others we either knew about or they've been inactive for most of the year. And then for the Bills, obviously, they didn't have both starting safeties as well as Rasul Douglas. It was an interesting set of inactives for me, especially with, 2 defensive tackles being inactive. And Mosley, I mean, we've talked about before. I mean, I know what you said in Discord about him. We're going to need him now because, my God, we've barely got 4 on the roster at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, these are guys they're still working their way back. Obviously, ones have not been with us that long. Martin, Mosley, they're only just recently back from injury. I think you saw with Martin last week, he had his ups and downs. I don't know if he's quite there just yet. And while you have a great starting tandem 2 in there and you have other guys you can rotate in, then maybe, yeah, you need other guys in there. Like, we've got no linebackers. You need more guys in that room. So, and I'm not too fussed. Obviously now we're going to need we're going to need them both. We're going to need Broderick. We're going to need Mosley. Like, Mosley's been, his IR he came off it on the 23rd of November, so you're going to be approaching a month since he was activated. So you would hope he was in some form of shape to be able to contribute by now after a month. With Broderick, he's similar. He'll have been up a few weeks. So, like I say, it is good. We are getting some guys back, regardless of all the injuries there. If these 2 can come in and at least both be serviceable, then it's 2 good pieces for you right there. So, it's got to take the good with the bad. For this one, I'm not. Yeah, I wasn't particularly fussed, let's just say. Like I say, they're both working their way back, and one is new with us, so yeah.
All right. Obviously, Buffalo win the game 48-42 after a 34-point fourth quarter. The Bills were led by Josh Allen and passing 23 of 34, 362 and 2 touchdowns, a QBR of 95.3 and a passer rating 122.4. Running the ball, they had 197 yards, 105 of them for James Cook. He had 2 touchdowns on 14 carries, including a long of 41. Josh Allen himself had 11 carries, 68 yards, and the 2 opening touchdowns were his. And then the receiving game, the Lions were burnt by one of their own former draft picks, and Ty Johnson, 5 of 5 for 114. Keon Coleman only had 1 catch, but it was a big one. He was 1 of 2 for 64. The 2 receiving touchdowns, one was by Khalil Shakir and one was by Ray Davis. On the Lions, on offense, Jared Goff threw the ball 59 times. He was 38 of 59 for 494 and 5 touchdowns. That's good for a QBR of 76.7 and a pass rating 118.9. Rushing the ball, as Ash said, Jahmyr Gibbs, 8 of 31 and 1 touchdown, and David Montgomery, 5 for 4. Jared Goff actually had over 3 times as many rushing yards as David Montgomery. Not many times that's ever going to be true. Receiving-wise, Amon-Ra St. Brown had a career day, 14 of 18 for 193 and a touchdown. Sam Laporte also over 100 yards, 7 of 10 for 111. Other receiving touchdowns by Jahmyr Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick, and the Man Mountain himself, and the NFL's tallest touchdown reception human being, Dan Skipper, 1 of 1 for 9 yards. The Lions did fumble the ball twice, got it back once. The other time, Matt Milano got back in on it in maybe the play of the game. Maybe if that one play goes the other way, it doesn't end up this way, but we'll never know now. On defense, Bills were led by Terrell Bernard with 10 tackles. They had 3 sacks, one by Benford, one by Ed Oliver, one by Greg Rousseau. And they had 2 other TFLs, one by Terrell Bernard and one by Dwayne Smoot. Smoot, they had 4 passes defended, 1 by Smoot, 1 by Keir Elam, 1 by Benford, and 1 by Teron Johnson. And they had 10 quarterback hits on the day in what was a bit of a rough day for the Lions' offensive line. The Lions had 2 players with over 10 tackles. Brian Branch had 15, which I think tells its own story. Jack Campbell had 11. They did not have any sacks, although they did force a intentional grounding, which I think we all know that should be a sack in the sack column by now. They did have 3 TFLs, 2 by Brian Branch and 1 by David Long. They have 5 passes defended, 1 by Branch, 1 by Campbell, 1 by Neiman, 1 by Arnold, and 1 by Vildor, as well as 3 quarterback hits, 1 by Turner and 2 by Josh Pascal. For the kickers, not a perfect day for either one. Bass missed a very short chip shot field goal in his 8 for 9 performance. Jake Bates missed a bit of a longer one in the very next possession. He was 6 of 7, including 6 extra points. And punting-wise, Sam Martin only punted once, and it was an absolute beauty, which was downed inside the 5. Jack Fox had 3 for 167, including a 60-yard beauty early on. Ash, to come back to you first. This is a 6-point loss in a 90-point game. So, in some ways the margins couldn't be tighter. And yet, the Lions obviously came back into it late, not unlike what the Bills did against the Rams, where really maybe it wasn't quite as tight as the scoreline would suggest. And yet, there was a legitimate question with the onside kick at the end as to whether the Lions had recovered. And if they did, then they would have had 2 plays to get in the end zone from about midfield. So, in some ways, although it didn't feel close, and the scoreline doesn't say that it was particularly far away, in some ways they weren't that far away either. Like, it's such a confusing game because it does feel like we were under the cosh for the majority of it.
Yeah, like we discussed it yesterday, didn't we? It really came down to the execution on the key moments. So that first quarter, just every run, just going for 1 or 2 yards, not being able to get ourselves into manageable third downs. And then because we're in that, we'd still complete the pass, but say it's 3rd and 8, we'd complete it for 7 yards, and then we're punting or stuff like that. That first quarter really did bog us down, getting into the 14-0 gap, having to abandon the run for the most part because it just wasn't working. And just the Bills just being ultra efficient on their drives, targeting the linebacker room, as I said earlier, just kept going at them, putting the running backs on those kind of routes where they get against linebackers, which is kind of, as we pointed out, is the kind of coverage responsibility of linebackers, but you get what I mean, like kind of isolating them. So that's the key matchup. Doing the same with the tight ends as well, just really attacking that linebacker room, which meant they could just move down the ball down the field at will, which then, of course, get to the onside kicks decisions. That's why, like, I know people are freaking out about it. It's because we couldn't stop the Bills. So what's the difference? Like, giving them a bit of extra time by kicking it deep would have gone against us. Giving them a shorter field in a way, letting them score that quickly meant we had more time to answer back. So it is what it is. People will moan about it, like they moaned about the 4th down last week. It is what it is. Dan's trying to give us the best chance to win. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We live and die by that, and I'm completely okay with it. But I'm just glad that, we managed to make it respectable in the end, because if we didn't, the naysayers would be even louder, and that's the worst thing, because it always seems to happen. You do something in prime time. Look at the Texans game. That was in prime time. Goff throws 5 interceptions, and suddenly everyone is ragging on him, even though they didn't watch and actually saw how those interceptions happened. The same could have happened here, where people would have really lacked the context, would have just looked at the box score and said, the Lions are frauds. They've beat up on mediocre teams. Only good wins they've had really against the Vikings when they're on a roll, and the Packers. They haven't really beaten a decent team, blown out the weak teams. At least we kind of showed we can put up a fight against what is considered a really good team, even with us having to play third stringers and street free agents. Like, if it carries on, I'm probably going to get a call up to go and play Sam linebacker for the Lions. That's how bad it is. And yet we still managed to nearly beat the Bills if it wasn't a couple of plays. The Amon-Ra fumble, them getting an onside kick at the end. This game could have been different, and the narrative would be completely different about us.
And how do you feel about the game now that we're looking back at it? Because, we were 2 to 3 scores down for the majority of the game, and yet, you know, we could have been 12 seconds away from winning it.
Obviously, we watched the tape of the Rams-Bills game, and we watched the wrong team. We were meant to be watching what the Rams did. Instead, we watched what the Bills did, i.e. they were not able to run the football well to start the game. The offense started off sluggish. They got into a hole of, 17 points. And then their defense just couldn't make a stop really to save their life, and it ends up costing them in a game which they could have won. They're just playing from behind all game. You know, you put it in your opponent's hands, and ultimately you come up just a little bit short at the end because, you know, it was last team possession wins the game in that one, and it's the same with this. We'd have had the ball to end that game. We could very well have won it, but we were down to the point of having to onside kick it. So, you know, we didn't watch the right team in their game, but it was tough. I liked again the resilience the team did show, because everyone says we're a one-trick pony. Everyone says when you stop us running the ball, we're no good. Well, that's clearly a lie. It's been a lie for a long time. It's just people choose not to see it. Goff has won plenty of games without his run game there with him. You know, they kept battling. They were aggressive. You know, I liked the aggression he showed. You were going to have to. You know, you're going to have to be aggressive to win this game, especially when you let them get up by 2 scores and you're not able to stop them. The onside kicks, I hated at the time, but I look back on it now and I think he actually made the right call in regards to them both. See, this is where they need to get rid of this rule about declaring onside kicks, because if we didn't have to do that, I reckon they'd have been completely surprised by. If that was a game sitch where we're not telling them we're going to do it, that ends up completely differently because they have no idea that's going to come. And I just don't like how they do that. So
just a quick question, because obviously with the changed kickoff rules, you line up in between like the 35-yard line of the opponent. So like obviously in the normal kickoff, you're just where your kicker is, and so the onside kick is you're there to take it. So obviously you declare it so that you move the lineup of where you're kicking it back where the players are. So would you be in favour of moving the kickoff either back to what it was last year, or in the 4th quarter, when the rule is that you can onside kick it if you're behind, that you revert back to the normal kickoff just for the 4th quarter? I don't know how that would work, but like,
I'd just revert back to the old way, because I think it's very different. Because, you know, if you do that, they don't have the hands team out there if they don't know it's coming. You know, you don't have these specific guys, and our way of getting on top of people has been by mystery and trickeration and surprising people. And, you know, for them to have their best guys out there knowing that it's coming just takes away from it for me. You know, like a lot of these new rules, like the kickoff rule, I think sucks balls because we just don't get no returns or anything. Like,
yeah,
I think there've been some really bad rule implementations this year, but I agree with the aggressiveness to go with it. We needed to steal a possession from somewhere, and I hate to say it, but we could still be playing now and our defense would not have got a takeaway in that game. They were just not getting to Josh Allen. They were not putting him under any real pressure, and the secondary just couldn't hold up with him scrambling and guys having so much time to get open. And like I say, when you can't even get to him to hit him to try and fumble a ball or something like that, you've got to use your special teams to get a play. So you know, it's part and parcel of the job. It's made worse because they run it all the way back into our red zone. Like, if that doesn't happen, if they just claim it and we stop them near halfway and the drive peters out, whatever, no one cares. It's just the result of this thing. But we had to go for it. We didn't, and they still kept going. Like, at that point, you're thinking, yeah, the game's done, but they didn't. They were driving. Goff played beautifully. You know, all these guys stepped up, played a great game in the hardest of circumstances when the defense is absolutely gassed and just done. And, you know, it's just a tight loss. And I agree, 6 points is maybe a bit generous to it. Makes it feel like we were always playing from behind, and at no point did the Bills feel in any real peril that they were going to give up that lead. But at the same time, we were there. And the fact that we didn't play our best football for a quarter and a half on offense, and we were still keeping up with them, and we were still able to make them sweat it out a little bit at the end, and we so nearly got that kick back. It's just a testament to how hard this team is going to carry on fighting, and no one left on our schedule has Josh Allen at quarterback. Like he is the difference maker here, and I still think we've got a good chance to win games if the offense can keep playing the way it has. It's just a shame that the injuries took their toll on the defense, and it's what you're meant to do when you've got one healthy linebacker left and no healthy D line. You can only do so much, and you've come up against an elite offense, which you have to give it credit. It played incredibly well. It found a way to attack us, and they just drove home with it, using your running backs, using your tight ends, running that same fucking trap play on the run game, which just annoyed the absolute hell out of me because the Lions knew it was coming and they didn't deal with it, but can't stop it, don't change it, eh? So you got to give the Bills credit for this. They were aggressive. They came in and were aggressive. They know that to win in Detroit, you've got to be an aggressive football team. And the way they were playing, the shots they were taking, they were doing fourth downs as well. They knew field goals were no good. They knew they needed touchdowns. So I've got to take my hat off to them. They played well, but I thought we stuck with it all game. We didn't give up, and that's critical. If we'd have given up, then I'd be worried, but we didn't.
Dan Campbell's been at the podium at his press conference while Ant has just been speaking. He has confirmed that David Montgomery is done for the season. He is having surgery, which is another body blow. He said about David Montgomery, he's the ultimate teammate, the ultimate competitor, and we're going to miss him. We owe it to him to keep going and make sure that it wasn't in vain. Let's talk about this game then. Let's go through as we normally do. I'm going to be slightly more brief than I have been in the past, although there's a lot that happens in this game, so yeah. First drive by Detroit goes 3 and out. Run up the middle, completely staffed. 3rd and 10 pass was JMO, incomplete. It was inaccurate, but frankly, if it was accurate, it could have been picked, so it may have been a blessing in disguise. We end up punting to their 10, but a 17-yard return to the 27 by them. Their first possession, they score a touchdown via an Allen sneak. That drive had the 2nd and 5 play, the deep pass to Ty Johnson versus Quan Alexander for 33 yards. That I think that one play was responsible for the fact that Quan Alexander only saw the field for 12 defensive snaps. That one play showed we had an issue already. Following that, there was a pass into the end zone by Allen, which was broken up by Kindle Vildor against Khalil Shakir. Looked like it could have been DPI. Not given. Referees giving one for us. How about it? Who knew? But Allen eventually did get one. So he had a 24-yard pass over the middle to Ty Johnson inside the 5-yard line. He ran all the way down to the right-hand sideline and actually then came back to his left to make the throw sidearm. It was an exceptional play before a little sneak for a 1-yard touchdown. PAT was good, 7-0 Bills, and the Lions can't respond. 2nd and 9 pass to Patrick for 10 gets us our first down. But then, one of the plays of the game for me is going to go completely forgotten, I think. But on 1st and 10, after our first down, they line up with both of their corners in press man against people in the slot. And they bring their 4 down linemen and both corners in a double corner blitz. Exceptional kind of timing on the call, and Goff didn't see it coming on his blind side, so Benford gets a sack for -8. Results in the 3rd and 13, and Ed Oliver completely ruins Graham Glasgow and gets a sack fumble, which was recovered by Zeitler for a loss of 5. We ended up punting to the Buffalo 19, but another poor drive for the Lions there, unfortunately, and the hole just got bigger with Buffalo coming back. Allen with some scrambling, this time to the left, and a lovely throw to Cook for 28 yards as the Lions lost contain on Allen, not for the first time, not for the last time. 2nd and 7, throws a shallow cross to Shakir versus Branch for 10. Could have got stopped behind the line, but Shakir is just very, very strong. 1st and 10, then Allen scrambles for 6. He slid, and Campbell grazed him in the head. Everyone seems convinced that that was a unnecessary roughness penalty. Wasn't called. Thankfully, it would have been very soft. By the letter of the law, it probably is a flag, but come on, like, it's football. I just would despair if that's ever called, since Campbell barely moves once he starts blooming going down. Following that, there was a counter with a pulling lineman for 13 to the 9. So Cook lines up on the right-hand side of Allen in shotgun, takes the handoff running to the left, and then comes back to the right-hand side with one of his linemen going from left to right. Worked an absolute treat all the way down to the 9-yard line. And then on second and goal from the 4, Allen on a quarterback keeper from an RPO, runs off right tackle, goes in completely untouched. All of the offensive line bar 1 goes left. He goes right along with that lineman. And watch the play again, guys, if you haven't done already. Watch the cornerbacks for the Lions completely vacate the area that Allen just walked into. It's super weird. I haven't looked into anything more than just going, oh, I don't want to look at that again. But it's worth seeing. PAT was good. Buffalo got up to 14 to nothing, and I'll stop there. And it was a fucking rough start by, all measures. And it's not the first time we've gone 14 to nothing down in the first quarter. We, of course, made the big comeback against, I think we were corrected into saying it was Minnesota, when we went 14 nothing down and came back to 21-14 by the half. But this felt different.
Yeah, they dominated the line of scrimmage from the off. Like that's what you've got to do. You've got to put your will down on this team, and from the very beginning, they were able to move our guys around. They were able to create gaps for their guys to come through and cause issues in our backfield. And they got clever. The sack of Goff, like you said, with the double corner blitz on there, that's clever. They've got a lot of safety. They've got a lot of their secondary out injured, and we're thinking, ooh, maybe juicy. Let's go have some of that. Well, what we're not expecting is we're going to bring them up, and actually they're going to use them to hit our quarterback before he can do that. And it just gets you out of sync. And when you go 3 and out to start the game first off, and then you immediately give the ball to them, and then they just plant it down and score, you just put yourself in a hole right away. The second drive is not much better, and then, as you say, you get down to 2 scores very quickly. They ran the ball excellently. Again, they didn't even really try to disguise what they were doing. There was just nothing we could do about it. They had that same play where they kept pulling the right tackle through, like you mentioned that play. The right tackle comes across into the left guard spot, burrows out a massive hole. James Cook coming right to left, goes through the left guard spot, yards. I saw that at least 4 or 5 times, and you're like, come on, guys. You know what's coming. You still can't stop it because it's executed perfectly. They kept us on the run. They didn't let the defense rest and just grounded and pounded it out. And when the offense starts slow and they start so dominant like that, you just put yourself in a hole that, it sets the momentum against you. Like the momentum was just totally against us at the start of this game, and it's a real thing. And, you have to 2 drives each, and you're like, oh God, we're in a bit of bother here. We're going to have to keep scoring. And, they just set the tone early. They just drove us into the ground, and they just confused us. They did everything they needed to. It was an offensive masterclass from them just to take advantage of where we were weak. I say they didn't really go after the receivers much. They used the guys out the backfield. They used the tight ends, just the amount of crosses they were putting in, just making confusion in the defense. You could tell our green dot wasn't there. They needed someone who was in there who would be able to see what was coming and to be able to get guys in their position. Jack Campbell, love him. He's having a great season. He's not there yet. And when you're getting pounded like that by an elite team and they're just coming at you again and again and again, when you're a rook in that situation and you're still learning, it kind of exposes your game a little bit and how far away you still are from being the complete product. And, that's no shame in being a second-year linebacker. It takes time. And he will get there eventually. But yeah, they just brutally exposed the weaknesses we had there, and they made the stops they needed to. They just got us in a little bit of a period where we couldn't get anything going. That's all they needed. If we'd have done the same to them at any point, we'd have won. It's just the little things that matter, but you've got to give kudos to them for how they played and just how aggressive they were from the off.
Ash, it was a rough start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. Like, even just that first drive for us, just the incomplete, like, sort of throwaway because there was just nothing there. The no gain on second down, and that just puts us in a bad position where, we have to throw it to JMO and it just doesn't work. And then they're ultra efficient. They just go down the field on us, running the ball. Run the ball for first down, the second down, just giving it to Johnson out the backfield. It was just a perfect game plan. They scripted the right plays to attack our weaknesses, and they were basically able to have their way with us, which isn't good. It wasn't fun to see. And obviously the Allen touchdown, I'm glad just don't know what happened there. Really don't know what happened, but we could not have scripted really if a worse opening sort of couple of drives for us in terms of what they did, what we did. So yeah, it just started off on a sour note.
Lots of updates coming from the press conference happening concurrently. So let's go through just a little bit of that. So we had Ifeatu Melifonwu's clock will be started this week. They're unsure of whether he'll be ready to go immediately for the first game, but they're going to see how it goes. That Graham Glasgow had an X-ray after the game, but he's been checked out fine. He's just a little bit sore. And Ellis Rakestraw won't have his clock started this week, but Campbell says he's close, which I can only take to mean his clock will be started next week if there's no hiccups, since he's a fairly transparent guy. If he's very close and it's not this week, what else are you meant to think? So, looks like some support is coming at least. Moving on to the next part of the game, the Lions do hit back eventually on their third drive. Second down and 12, takes a check down to gives a 13. Amazing contact balance and goes out of bounds on the far sideline. Could have been a 4 or 5 yard game, but instead gets 13. First and 10, Gibbs then breaks out to the left, great speed to get hit the corner and get 9. It looked like he got the first down, but it was actually then called back and reversed to second down and short. And Ash, the Nostradamus that he is, goes, I can sense some trickery here. And here comes the double pass. So a handoff to Monty, who passes it backwards to Jared Goff. And Goff down the sideline to Amon-Ra St. Brown for 25 to the Buffalo 26. That's the end of the first quarter. Second down and 10 subsequently gives with another rush to the left for 13 to the 13. Eventually results in a third and 9 from the Buffalo 12. Goff scrambling to the right-hand side, near sideline. And a late pass to the sideline to Tim Patrick all on his own, who goes forward, gets the first down and jumps over Benford and reaches just for the touchdown. PAT is good and they halve the deficit 14-7. You think if the defense can just get a stop, maybe they can get back in this thing, but Buffalo don't let them have a chance. Holding on the first play by Edwards sets them back to 1st and 20, but a deep crossing route to Knox gets 19 of that back the very next play, and they do end up converting. 3rd and 2. Allen well protected, guns it towards Kincaid. Fantastic pass breakup by Jack Campbell on that play. He got his hands up there and got a fingertip to it, which diverted the ball away from Dalton Kincaid. That forced the 4th and 2, and maybe alongside the fumble that we'll talk about later, this is one of the plays of the game too. 4th and 2 at the Buffalo 49. They decide to go for it when it's only a 1-possession game. Wheel route to Ty Johnson, gets 31 versus Ezekiel Turner all the way down to the Detroit 20. They ran a very natural pick play. So when we were looking at pick plays against Green Bay last week, there was a lot of to and froing about whether it was or whether it wasn't. The fact that there was a lot of arguments kind of told you that it wasn't entirely clear-cut. This one was the most clear-cut pick play you'll ever see. It was fantastically run by the Bills. It was a clear pick. It was definitely within a yard of the line of scrimmage. It was basically on the line of scrimmage. And, you know, what can you do? It's just brilliantly run. And it's still a very difficult pass to catch for Ty Johnson out in front of him running the wheel route. He pulls it in, and that's a back-breaking one for the Lions. They end up going on 1st down and goal from the 6 with a Cook rush, shotgun to the left, and Mohamed is taking Josh Allen on the option, and Cook instead gets the handoff, so he can walk in completely untouched for the touchdown. PAT was good, and the lead has been extended to 21-7 for a 14-point lead. Well, the Lions better come back, and come back they do again. Goff with a deep comeback pass to Jamo for 18 yards. On 3rd and 4, Goff takes a really slow snap off his feet and hands it off for no gain. Buffalo player hits Goff way after the play. No flag. Goff sent absolutely sprawling. I don't know what the hell the referee was playing at there. On 4th and 4, and the Buffalo 46, we decide to go for it ourselves, and we get it. Goff with a crossing route to Amon-Ra St. Brown For 21 yards to the Buffalo 25. On 3rd and 10, Goff scrambles out of pressure and gets 10.5 yards for a first down. And then on 2nd and 4, it's the play that we all wanted. Skipper lines up as a tight end, and he is actually eligible this time. Not like he wasn't before, but never mind. And Goff runs a naked bootleg play-action pass and dumps it off to Skipper, who probably could run to the corner and be untouched, but instead looks at the defender and puts the shoulder into him to get in. PAT was good, and the Lions then reduce the deficit again to 7 points, 21-14. The half is 3 drives away, but there's no scores, so I'll just briefly go through this. First play of the next drive, Buffalo go deep play action pass to Keon Coleman, who beats Khalil Dorsey for 64 yards. Anquan Alexander hit Josh Allen in the chin, which got unnecessary roughness. So that puts him down after one play to the Detroit 3-yard line. So first down and goal from there, but great tackling against Cook holds him to 1. 2nd and goal, a play action pass to Curtis Samuel gets 1. That's 3rd and goal from the 1, but a false start puts it back to the 6, and then Allen can't hit Matt Collins in the end zone. And then from 24 yards, Tyler Bass misses the field goal wide right. With time running down, the Lions get some urgency, and despite them being pretty near their own end zone after that chip shot miss, they hit some bigger plays. Laporta for 22 over the middle, Amon-Ra for 8, Amon-Ra for 16, to the Buffalo 34, but then the drive stalls out. PBU on Amon-Ra and Brown by Teron Johnson was really good. On 3rd and 10, I've dropped by Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's a tough catch, but it's one I think he would expect to make of himself. Goff didn't make it easy for him. He put it a little bit further away from the defender than I think he needed to. It forced a 52-yard attempt, and that was shanked to the left by Jake Bates. It was an ugly, ugly kick. I didn't see anything wrong on the snap or the hold on this one. That's just on the kicker for me, unfortunately. And that put the Bills in great field position as they started at their own 42, only needing about 20 yards to get in field goal range with 40 seconds left. But they didn't manage to do it either. Allen, under pressure from McNeil, it has an intentional grounding call and a 10-second runoff. They then had a pass short to Kincaid for 15, 3rd and 6, a pass at the 6, so Shakir gets a first down. They need about 5 more yards to get to field goal range for Tyler Bass, but they do not get it. So they're in Hail Mary territory, but instead try a short dump off, which doesn't work. And that's the half, 21-14 to the Bills, and they will take the kickoff reception at the start of the second. And after an awful start and going 14-0 down, the Lions then match Buffalo toe-to-toe. And in fact, from being 14-0 down, they then end up scoring more points than the Bills in this period of the game to bring it to within 7. It was maybe one of our better periods of the game. And I mean, Tyler Bass misses an awful one, but, for once, the goal line defense actually worked out. 1st and goal from the 3, and they didn't take anything away from it. Things, I hesitate to say they were looking up, but they weren't as bleak as they were in that first quarter.
I mean, the aggression from both coaches was very evident in this period. Like we say, we stepped up to them, but I think they stepped up to us as well when it looked like we were getting back into it. So obviously the first touchdown drive was better. Like, the interior offensive line was garbage. We started running to the outside. We started getting Gibbs out to the perimeter a bit. You start getting off some better plays because the tackles did play well. You're able to start moving the ball, make some progress forward. And for us, I thought it was a really good drive. You just the spot we needed. Got a little bit of run game in there. Again, Tim Patrick stepping up when we need him to. It was a great piece of play by Goff as well. I think a lot of people underrate that. Like, he was under a lot of pressure in the pocket to get that out there to him. I thought it was just one of many. Like, Goff is just as much as responsible for that as Patrick is as well. They both did absolutely superb. But it's a great drive. It gets you back into it. But then, this is where I like what the Bills did on their next drive. You're at 4th and 2. They go for it. Like, we're going for it on 4th downs. They're going for it on 4th downs. I mean, McDermott doesn't do it very often, but I swear the broadcast said he was like 8 for 8 on his last 4th down attempts. Like, when he does do it, they do it right. And for me, that was a backbreaker. When they stayed out there and went for it, I thought, man, if you can just get one stop all game somewhere, turn them over on downs. This is how you get back into this game, and this is how you beat them. And for them to just, roll out that wheel route again like they got us the other day, it felt like I was watching Florida State UNC again from earlier in this year. Sorry, Ash. But like that to me just showed like McDermott respected us. Like he didn't try and stop for a field goal or anything. He's like, no, the guy that offense has got going now. My offense has to respond. I have to keep putting touchdowns on this field, and they executed incredibly well. Ty Johnson played like he had a grudge against us, and then as soon as they sort of get in the 10-yard line, just the rush, the dual threat from the quarterback, you knew was going to be too much. They punch it in, they restore their lead. Like that's good play from them to just carry on. But then for us, oh, this was such a clutch drive. The second one just before the half. Again, Goff in trouble, with, snapping was a bit botchy. The 4th and 4. This is again at midfield. It's quite early in the game. It's clutch to go and convert that. It was basically a 4th and 5, really. It was a 4th and medium, a good size one. For them to be able to get that, obviously Brown steps up. Goff gets his scramble in there. We said he's doing it more now. He's noticing more when these guys are turning their backs on him that actually there's yardage out there for him, and for him to put it on his back and be aware of it, go get it, and then for them to draw up the play for Skip as well. Like that's as clutch a drive as they come. We're in trouble. They're all over us, and that team showed a lot of resilience on that drive. Just so many clutch situations that could have gone wrong, which didn't for us, and I was delighted for Skip. His picture going into the end zone is going to be when Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes' time is done, whenever it may be, hopefully in 20 years' time. I want them to do like an exhibit in a museum of some of the most famous pictures of all time of Penne's diving leap after his reception, of Dan Skipper forcing his way into the end zone for a touchdown. I think we'll have one of the best exhibitions of all time from some of these crazy plays that we've drawn up, and it'll be a worldwide sensation. But, again, this is just great play from the Lions to be able to keep coming back into this. And then you give it up with a really big reception downfield. It just felt every time that we did get within a little bit of them, like the onside kick, they smacked us right in the face right away. And again, this is what a good team does. It stayed aggressive. It just took a deep shot early. The hit, yeah, it's justified. It was late. No qualms with that call whatsoever. And then you say it gets us down to 3. But one of the very rare instances of our defense doing well, and who was it? It was Brian Branch. The tackle on Samuel at the 1 when he easily could have got a touchdown. He hit him like lightning as soon as he got the ball, and then he gets the pass break up in the end zone as well. That is why Brian Branch is going to be an all-pro, and he's going to be an all-timer for the Lions. That was in his wheelhouse. He took responsibility, made some massive plays. I've got no issues with him in this game at all. And you get the missed field goal, you force them back, and you're like, maybe there's something here. It was a good response. Getting the drive there, though, you're not able to get it. It just felt really flat, the drive after, in response. And then you miss the field goal. It deflates you again. And then the half ends. And you're like, we had opportunities to get back into this. Sadly, didn't take them. But both teams got sloppy towards the end, let's say. And, we were lucky Aleem was able to get his intentional grounding done so they didn't have any more damage. But I would have taken that score at the half. After what they did to us in the first quarter, I actually thought the scoreline was maybe a little flattering, but absolutely I'd have taken that 100 times out of 100, given what happened.
Yeah, Ash, it felt like our best period of the game, potentially, in terms of how we responded to going down 14-0.
Yeah, 100%. And then the answer back would make it clear, pretty close. And then obviously the first injury happens right, like pretty much right as obviously you go because they're cutting away because it was so bad and all that. The air cast that, and it's no wonder then kind of everyone went a bit off kilter because obviously seeing something like that happen is going to shake up because it happened obviously on the third and goal from the 6, because I think Dorsey is covering Shakir on it and he just runs into the linebacker's leg and it happens. Everyone shook up. It obviously affects Bass. He misses. Bates is also shook up. So Riz tweeted this. An old habit from camp came back where he just put his plant foot a bit too far forward, meant he wasn't properly balanced, and he shanks the kick. it's kind of forgivable in a way that every went to pot going into the half kind of thing, though was a bit of a weird decision from Buffalo to do the whole like short stuff, almost try and do a hook and ladder play to instead of trying to throw it, especially with how banked up our secondary was then. 'Cause I think by then Davis was already ruled out with the what had been evaluated for concussion. We didn't know about the jaw injury properly till that point. Dorsey's just gone out, so you've got Terrian and Meek and Vildor out there. I would have attacked Vildor. Like I know he's a good corner and he probably will. He's had his moments where obviously things gone against him, but yeah, just I would have gone for Vildor and I know Hail Mary, but it is what it is. But again, I agree with Van. I would have took 21-14 going into half, especially after those first couple of drives, because yeah, it seemed like this would be an absolute ass pounding. It would be the Ravens game. It would be the Patriots game where we just could get nothing right. We managed to fight back, and at least going into the half, it was a one-score game, and there was some momentum there for us.
Going into the second half, Buffalo start with the ball, and well, the Lions, we were saying, get a stop in that first possession and score. It's a tie ball game. Easy life. Well, not so fast. 2nd and 6, pass to Ty Johnson for 19. Beautiful touch on the throw, which was in between 3 Lions defenders. It was maybe Allen's best ball of the day for me. And that's saying a lot because there were a lot of really nice ones. 2nd and 4 from the Detroit 41. Cook, with a handoff from shotgun, went straight up the middle for the touchdown. He was actually yanked by the hair. Kirby took an awful angle on run defense. It was just one of those days on defense for the Lions in general. He took outside and James just ran straight by him. So one of those things, 41-yarder, 28-14 Buffalo. Lions, we need to go toe-to-toe with them, don't we? That's what we've been doing to end the half. Well, they can't do it this time. We go run, and then on 3rd and 7, a sack by Rousseau in maybe one of the most ugly plays the Lions are going to see this season. Ed Oliver pancaked Ragnow, and Rousseau, to the left of that, completely beat Glasgow on the outside. I think it was just a little swim move, but both the left guard and centre beating all ends up, and both get to go off pretty much together for a loss of 8. We punt to the Buffalo 16, but holding sets them back to their own 8. But the Lions defense do stand up at this point. They could put us in a bigger hole, but they don't. A slow 8-play drive, which included several Allen scrambles, but a brunch TFL on Davis causes them to have it stall out, ends up in a punt to the Detroit 4. So the Lions need to go 96 now to try and get it to within a score, and they can't manage it. 2nd and 9 from the Detroit 29 after a few completions for first downs. And it was completed to Amon-Ra St. Brown over the middle, and Benford forces the fumble recovered by Milano at the Detroit 41, and a face mask penalty by Glasgow adds 15. It wasn't called initially a fumble on the field before it was overturned on replay review. It looks a bit bang-bang. Did Amon-Ra have control of it or not? If he didn't, then it obviously would have been an incomplete pass, but he did. Benford ran with Amon-Ra in control for about 3 or 4 steps before it came out. I'm not sure he ever had firm control, but he wasn't never not in control of it. It's one of those where you'd rather he just dropped the damn thing to begin with, but it's not in Amon-Ra's repertoire to try not to do something like that. So that gives them great field position at the Detroit 26, and another slow drive from Buffalo proceeds all the way down to the end goal situation, including a illegal low block by Zadarius Smith hitting someone in the knee. I'm sure we'll never hear about that again. First down and goal then from the 3, shovel pass to Khalil Shakir for the touchdown. PAT's good. And now they got 21 points. Just to shout out mile marker 301 for the $10 super chat. Says for Crazy Legs, Goss, first down, and Skipper's Tuddy. Many thanks, mile marker. Appreciate you very much. So the Lions in a 3-score hole now, 21 points. It's going from bad to worse. But the Lions in desperation mode now do end up getting a quick score. 2nd down and 10. A short pass to Gibbs for 11 yards on the wheel route. And then a flea flicker deep ball dropped by Jamo, but he was actually bailed out by holding on Frank Ragnow. Results in a 3rd and 17. A pass over the middle for 15 yards. And Amon-Ra catches it there and just splits the defense for a 66-yard touchdown. Got clipped in the heels, but managed to keep his feet. And despite him not exactly having the best 40-yard dash time ever, he outruns the entire defense for that long touchdown. don't get fooled by the 40-yard dash, people. It's not what it's cracked up to be. So that makes it 35-21, making it a 2-score game. And then Buffalo come back, and of course they want to continue putting in the hole, but the Lions step up. A branch TFL on Davis forces 3rd and 4 before a lovely Allen pass to Dalton Kincaid, who, standing over Lions players, pointed at them and taunted them. Not flags, but absolutely egregious example of taunting. It will be on training tape as to what not to do. I'll just say that. Drive stalls out pretty much at that spot at the 32-yard line. The final play in that drive was a great pass breakup by Terry and Arnold at the Detroit 2-yard line, resulted in a 50-yard field goal try, which was good to make it 38-21, but still only a 2-score game. I'll stop there as there's not too many drives left. And the Lions were only down 7 and obviously didn't score in the first couple of possessions, but the Bills did. But then suddenly, the Lions start coming back into it again. And that Amon-Ra touchdown, after he obviously had the forced fumble, which was a bit of a backbreaker, but then he gets the 66-yarder and suddenly we're kind of back in it again.
Yeah, but the problem starts with 2 empty drives. Half, you did it in the second half. Like, you just can't afford to do that in these games. I was really disappointed with the way they came out and just scored on us like that. It was like we'd fought hard at the end of the second half to make this a manageable game and one we could rescue. And like within 3 or 4 plays, they're back in again, and you're down 2 scores, and then you're playing into their wheelhouse. 2 runs, you leave yourself in 3rd and 7. You're just putting a big ass bullseye on Goff right at this point, and their interior defensive line absolutely shredded us to bits. It's concerning, but it stops the drive, it gives them momentum, and then the fumble. See, this, I agree, it is a fumble, probably. But when you're doing catches on the perimeter, and you're, where you're saying, is it a catch on the perimeter? As guys got 2 foot inbound, they talk about having the ball secure in your hands, like the ball is fully secure in your hands. You've got to have the ball fully secured, and you've got to have both feet down, or you've got to have a football move for it to count. He's clearly bobbling it when he's got it. It is not a secure ball. It is not. It's in his hands and he's running with it, but it's not secure. And for me, it's knocked out before he does take the requisite amount of steps for it to classify as one. So while I'm not saying it's not, there are different variations here. Why, when he's bobbling it infield, can it then be hit out and fumble? But if it's the same on the perimeter and he does exactly the same, goes exactly the same distance with it bobbling in his hand, does it not count? That's an issue I have. That's the issue I have with this play. But I'm not going to moan. It is what it is. But that's the backbreaker. You give them a short field and they're able to punish you for it. Turnovers win games. They got the 1 turnover. We didn't. And maybe ultimately that's what costs us. But it's just let's say a sloppy start to the second half again, which costs us like it does in the first. And then we come alive, which is great that we're able to do so. But you're down 21 points by this point, and it's a really good drive, and the throw is phenomenal from Goff to get us back into this one. I will not hear anything about, it was tipped slightly. If Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes did that, Tony Romo would lose a year's worth of sperm celebrating something like that. It would just be all over there. They would say it's perfect. It's even if it's on the tips, it's right there. And I just think
Did you just say years worth of sperm and then said on the tips?
Yeah, on the tips. But it's placement. It's it's absolute perfect placement, just out of reach of the guy, right into the hands of your receiver, and Amon-Ra with a great catch and a great play, because obviously he'd have to adjust a little for the tip. Makes it look nice and easy, but we needed a quick score, and we were able to get a quick score, which was great. But we shouldn't have been really in that hole in the first place. And then again, they just come back out and they're able to get points. I know it's just a field goal. I know, I'm the same with you. The taunting, if that was JMO, it would have been called. Don't know why it wasn't given. There were little things in here that, like, yeah,
I look forward to him getting a
Inconsistency.
fine for the finger guns, by the way.
Inconsistency, not saying he's a white tight end, not a young black wide receiver. Let's see how that one plays out. But like JMO would have got done for that.
100%.
So I just expect consistency with your calling. If you're not going to call it, fine. If you're going to call it, fine. Just do it all the time. But you know, defense makes a stop at least. Terrion plays really well to get it done. It is just a field goal. That does give you a little bit of a route back into the game, but again, it just felt like a little too late in the grand scheme of things. We just started too slow, and we just gave ourselves too big a hill to climb against an elite opponent. But there's some good parts of play in there.
Someone needs to put Tony Romo's face on Randy's body in the South Park meme in front of the computer. Apart from the computer is just Josh Allen. I think that'll work.
I put this on Twitter, but do you reckon Haley Steinfeld views him as a legitimate threat for Josh's affections? Do you reckon they're having an argument in the house one day and he goes, "I wish you'd talk about me the way Tony Romo does," and just like really drop himself in it? I reckon I could see that happening.
Yeah, you made me like Mac. I actually like giggled out loud when I saw the Goblin tweet. That was hilarious because I mentioned it earlier. I was like, because obviously there was the where he flopped to the Jack Campbell thing. I was like, oh yeah, he's got some accent advice from his fiance, and Matt looks at me blankly. I'm like, damn it, that was a good pop culture reference and went over everyone's heads.
Definitely went over my head. I'm just not that savvy, but yeah. Do you think he loves Mahomes or Allen more? Because a lot's been made of his love for Mahomes as well. Or do you think he can't choose between the two?
Whose love is stronger, Collinsworth's for Mahomes or Romo's for Allen?
Romo loves Mahomes though.
Yeah, but like Allen is his favorite. He literally calls him the alien, like the guy from out of this world. Whose man crush do you reckon is bigger? Like, I don't know at this point.
I think I would say Collinsworth for Mahomes because he's been pleasuring himself over a player who hasn't really played that well most of the last 12 months. But Mahomes is clutch, I guess. Like, he has the odd play every now and again, which is amazing. But generally speaking, I don't think Mahomes has been great. Whereas at least Allen has legitimately been good.
There was that really funny point in this game where the Bills got pinged for holding when Allen did that shovel play into the end zone and Tony Romo went, "Oh my God, oh, wait, there's a flag." Like, he was about to go full on. He like had to, like, mid-orgasm, had to re-energize it back into his system. Like, it's halfway out. He's like, "Oh, no, you just wait there. Just wait there. Just wait there."
Have you ever... Have you ever watched the videos of Gary Neville reacting to things and it progressively gets more shrill? I want someone to do that with Tony Romo because I think it'd be pretty close. But like, I'd love to hear him have the Gary Neville reaction.
It was honestly hilarious. Like, in fairness, it was a good little play from him. Just shovel tossed it in there out of nowhere. But then he had to stop mid-flow.
It was like a netball pass.
Down.
Yeah, Alan was taking inspiration from the Dr. Pepper challenge. Or the championship games.
Oh, yeah. I'd never thought about that.
Because it's always the ones that chest pass it that get the money, not the ones that do it properly.
All right.
Anyway.
Ash, did you really weigh in on this third quarter? Also, I don't think you did. I mean,
no.
They obviously stuck the boot in early and then we had the fumble, but then we came back into it again.
Yeah. Like, we've pretty much said it all. Like, I agree. The fumble's contentious, but it is what it is. They reviewed it. They challenged. It was a good challenge from the head coach to get it because they
didn't even officially challenge. They were going to challenge, and then it was overturned on the field with replay assist. It wasn't even a challenge in the end. But yes,
fair.
I digress.
But yeah, they were going to anyway, weren't they?
Yeah.
Like as you say. So if they didn't review it, they were going to challenge anyway, which was a good decision with McDermott. But yeah, it's just that to go to the backside pass. Like I said to Matt, and I was like, I was shitting myself for that throw because I was there. I was like, oh fucking hell, Goff, no, please, not like this would be the final dagger. You throwing a fucking interception to the linebacker, it just goes over perfectly in Tamara's hands. I was like, thank fucking God, like. But yeah, at least again we're making it respectable. That's all we can really do. The pass break up by Arnold, great. I know PFF still fucking hates him, but that was a really good play from him. It's still there's still time. I know we're 17 points down at this point, but there's still a chance, and that's all we needed.
Moving on from here, then Detroit's 9th possession down 17. Beautiful play, the double fake by Goff. So fake handoff and then fake end around pass over the middle for 6 to David Montgomery. And then a throw to Gibbs on the sideline for 15. Late hit out of bounds, question mark. The fans certainly thought so, but not called. Then a deep throw up the seam to Samuel Porter for 31 yards. 2nd and 4, Goff pass to Gibbs on a dump off for the 12-yard touchdown. He's got his back to goal. Just turns around so quickly, manages to beat the linebacker, then beat the sub-safety, who I think was Kareem Jackson, to get into the end zone. PAT was good, and suddenly it's a 10-point game. Can the Lions get back into it all? Here's the contentious moment in the game, potentially. Onside kick called by the Lions, and it's returned by Matt Collins to the 5-yard line. And I just want to shout out Craig Reynolds because it's a walk-in touchdown and no one should even get close. And Craig Reynolds' effort to stop the touchdown on that play will get forgotten because they scored, I think, on the very next play. But it should be applauded. It potentially kept the Lions in. If they'd held them to a field goal there and it's still a 2-possession game, brilliant. And he gave us the chance to do that. Unfortunately, we couldn't back him up, but never mind. The onside kick itself, by the way, I think deserves some plaudits because it is taken off his fingertips by Matt Collins. If he pops that up in the air, or if he doesn't manage to get there, it's going to be 50-50 as to whether a Lion can actually catch it before it goes out of bounds on the sideline. But he gives his team a legitimate chance to get that ball. So whilst it was risky, and it obviously was a massive return, it was a damn good kick, and Dan Campbell actually shouted out that onside kick and the other onside kick for being really good attempts. As it is, return to the 5, and then just a play-action pitch and catch to Davis for the 5-yard touchdown. PAT is good, and they lead by 17 again. But the Lions hit back again. Buffalo turn into prevent defense, and the Lions take advantage. In this drive, they were very quick. In the next one, they were very slow, unfortunately. Goff with a curl flat to Jamo for 16, and then a quick pass over the middle to Sam Laporta for 14. Then Laporta for 11. Then Laporta for 10 to the Buffalo 16. Holding on Frank Ragnow again sets us back to 1st and 20. Gibbs for a dump off for 11. 2nd and 9, a batted pass at the line. But 3rd and 9, check down to Amon Ross around 10 to the Buffalo 5. And then a 2nd down and goal from the 1. Gibbs keeps its legs up and Sewell pushes in from behind for the touchdown. PAT's good. And it's a 10-point game again. This time we do a normal kickoff. Interesting moment in the game compared to what they did on the last kickoff. I think we should need to get into that in a minute. 8 minutes left in the game, down 10. 2nd and 7, Allen fake handoff, play action pass to Dawson Knox for 23 yards, who chips at the line and then releases upfield. Not unlike a certain Brock Wright has done many times for us, unfortunately, but it works very, very well. That's why the good teams do it. He was completely unblocked. It was a fucking good catch by Dawson Knox, basically off his fingertips stretching. Allen then scrambles for 21 yards off left tackle and runs up the middle to the Detroit 23. On 3rd and 5, Allen quarterback sweep for 8 goes down to the Detroit 10 for 1st down and goal. And then a pitch forward to Kincaid, as we talked about, for the touchdown, nullified by holding on Edwards. And then they had a false start. So it ended up being 3rd and goal from the 25. They hand it off for a 2-yard gain and then take the field goal from 41, which was good. And it's a 13-point game, so suddenly it's only a 2-score game. There's only 2 minutes left, but Lions have all 3 timeouts. If you score quickly, maybe you got a chance. And the game's on the line several times here. 4th and 5, pass to Amon-Ra for 6. Good pass, nice reaching catch, gets out of bounds to stop the clock. Then Goff gets hit hard, but spins out of that pressure. Manages to keep his feet and throw it away. 2nd down and 10, throw over the middle to Sam Laporta for 11. 2nd down and 10, a check down again to Sam Laporta for 11. 2nd and 10, throw away after Oliver gets another pressure. 3rd and 10, incomplete to Sam Laporta, kind of turfed it at his feet. 4th down and 10, here's the hook and ladder play coming out now. Thrown for a 2-yard game to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Gibbs is coming across him for the pitch for 23 yards to the Buffalo 13. 1st and 10, a throw to Amon-Ra for 10 yards to Buffalo 3, and the Lions set their first timeout with 25 seconds left. So this drive has taken 1:38 so far, which really killed us a little bit. 1st and goal from the 3, thrown away. 2nd and 3, back shoulder throw to Patrick. He was asking for DPI but didn't get it. 3rd and 3, Throw to Jamo back left of the end zone. Nice catch for the touchdown. Beautiful route. PAT was good. And then the onside desperation kick with about 13 seconds left. Up the middle, and it looked like the Lions might get it, but Ezekiel Turner, when going for the ball, looked like he kind of kicked it back into the pile, and that was then recovered by Buffalo, and that's the ball game. Quite unlucky there, but, and I guess the decisions are about the onside kicks, and specifically, I guess, the decision to go for it and then not go for it, I think, is the thing for me, which is odd, because, and you've kind of referenced it already, so maybe I'll have my say on this. I don't mind which you choose, as long as you are consistent with what you do. If you're going to trust your defense and kick it long, do it, and keep doing it until you have to onside kick, because you trust your defense or you don't. If you're going to onside kick it on the first one, I don't understand why, with less time in the game in the same situation, you don't onside kick it for the second one. If you are saying we need to nick a possession, I kind of think we still needed to nick a possession at that point. So I think when you do one onside kick and one normal kickoff, that's the worst decision. Either kick off twice or onside kick twice, but splitting the difference kind of seemed like getting the worst of both worlds to me.
So, in regards to the first one, I think you absolutely have to do that. Like, you are down to, 10 points when you get the first one, but you're still 2 scores down. You 12 minutes left at the time, something like that. So you've still got a good chunk left. But as has been mentioned, some of their drives were long, and we were unable to stop them. And the way they're running the ball, it's going to kill the clock. For all it takes is for you to kick it long, and for them to drill 6 minutes off the clock and at least add another 3, and it's a 2-score game, and you've got half your time left. It could make it very difficult for you going forward. The problem with the onside kick, the problem that everyone has with the onside kick is the outcome of it. Like, again, as we mentioned at the start, if you onside kick it and they get it, but you tackle them wherever you do, you're near midfield at the point. So it becomes less of an issue then. It's the fact that the bounce, it takes a really odd bounce right up, but it's at the point where the guy's coming forward, he can leap in the air to get to it, he's got a running start, and then he's gone, because obviously there's no coverage back there. It's, maybe you should have chose a different style of it, but I agree with it, because your defense just wasn't getting stops, it wasn't getting turnovers. So I think you have to go to your special teams to try and manufacture that turnover. And it didn't work, but I don't care, really. Dan lives by the sword, dies by the sword. We don't win the Green Bay game without Dan's aggressive nature of his coaching. His coaching has won us a lot more games than it's lost, despite what the naysayers will tell you out there. So I don't mind that. For me, he's looked at the layout of the game, how it's going, where his team's winning, where his team's losing, and has said, right, look, we've got to do something about this. We can't just meekly give it up. That's fine. Obviously, they get the score. We're able to get the score back. So again, the team's doing its best to keep into this one and, to try and keep things interesting. The second one, when you kick it away, now here's where I diverge. I think there is a big difference between taking the first one and not taking the second one. Obviously, the first one, there's 12 minutes left. You lose the potential of taking a massive chunk of clock out the game if you're not able to stop them. And you really need to get something going. So that's fine. When you get to the second one, there's a lot less time left in the game. However, critically, you've still got your 3 timeouts left. You've been able to get to the end of the game with them intact. It does allow you to then hit it away and be able to get the ball back. You've tried the onside kick once already, and it's not gone well. I think it's a case of fool me once, not fool me twice. If you try it again and something bad happens again, then you really look foolish. But with less time in, you've still got your timeouts. You've still got a chance to turn the ball over with them. So I think it is acceptable for you to then go and hit it further downfield and learn from your mistakes. And then, try and get the stop that you need to from them there. I mean, obviously, you don't. They're able to take enough time down off the clock. It's really annoying, just those pain in the arse first downs and everything you see in the clock going. I thought he did very well in his restraint not to use his timeouts there, though at least you get the stop and you give yourself a chance in the 2-minute drill to be able to go out there and do something again. I thought the 2-minute drill, We execute better than most, even when you get to fourth down. Who the hell calls a hook and ladder on a 4th and 10 down? 4th and 10.
So
Like,
sick.
I looked at it and I'm just like, actually, like I said, if there was a brain in this world you wanted to marry, it would be Ben Johnson's. But it kind of makes sense, really. You throw it, you throw it in front of the sticks. Immediately, that defense is going to swarm you because they're all coming up trying to get the stop and the turnover on downs. And by employing the hook and ladder with Gibbs full speed going out to the wide, it sucks everybody in. Sucks everybody in and gives him a load of room down the side of the field to run it in. And that's that big chunk play you need to get yourself in position to score quickly. I thought it was a beautiful play design and very well executed. And what we needed, it was that ingenuity we needed just to irk that Bills defense open instead of them playing this prevent where we're just taking it gingerly down the field. But I loved it all. It was great. And it was glad that JMO got his touchdown. Had a bit of an up and down one, but I will never be sad seeing a Jameson Williams touchdown. It gives you an opportunity at the end of the game. And then he does the Pat McAfee. I love that one more than anything. The trouble is they know it's coming. And obviously the guy's there waiting, but you know what? I will give my due to Jay Bates. He goes in there and absolutely pile drives him. I absolutely look like just as he catches it, smack straight into him. It was an absolutely perfectly designed kick. I love the Pat McAfee version of it. It's the best way of getting it back. And I so thought we got it. Again, it's just that little deflection right back in there. I was convinced we had it because it seemed to come out to the edge and you're thinking, oh God, our guys landed on that.
Yeah.
And then as you see like someone's knee just dinks it in and you're like, you lucky son of a gun. Like at the end of the day, I can't complain. If you're relying on an onside kick to try and win a game, you probably don't deserve to win the game overall because you shouldn't be in a hole. But we dreamt for a minute. But it was at the end of a very thoroughly entertaining game. Bills played incredibly well and just about deserved the win, but we never gave up and we threw everything we had at it. So yeah, it had a little bit of everything, and hopefully we get another shot at them at some point because they are beatable. Just a bit if we get a bit healthier.
If is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, I think. Ash, what are your takes on the 2 onside kicks? And then obviously there's a little bit that's happened in there that we've kind of discussed as well, the hook and ladder and what have you.
Yes, like I'm there for both decisions, like especially that last one. And I even said to you when we did it, like the technique, I was like, that's the technique I want. I want that kind of one where, because it has, and for me, that probably has the best margin of success. Like as you saw, we nearly got it. The first one, again, I agree with the decision to do it. Just a very, very good play by Collins and a great tackle by Reynolds. As for us kicking it off after our touchdown, I can kind of get why though, because if you're just going onside kick, onside kick, at that point you're like, you can't just keep doing it. You have to mix it up. You've got I know you have to declare it in that, but as you said, even as you said on the coverage, kicking it long, you can force a turnover, like force.
You can't if you put it in the end zone, but anyway.
True, yeah. Even perhaps it's just a mess of execution from Bates there. Wouldn't surprise me. But I'm there for it. Maybe it's because obviously you saw that it scored quickly. You're like, okay, we've got it now. We've got the momentum. We've just scored a nice drive. For me, the main issue with this bit was the time management. And it's something that Dan's in his press just has said that they're going to work on. Like he knows they went too slowly. They need to have some more urgency there. It's something they're going to work on because the kicking it long could have worked if, as we've got to sort of stop them with field goal. That makes it, you've still got a chance then. And then we just took ages. And yeah, it meant that we had to go for that onside kick and then basically it was Hail Mary. If we had a bit more time on the clock, could we have maybe done something different in terms of after the onside kick? They got it. Maybe we can force a 3 and out, gives us a chance. But at that point, because they got it, they just nailed the ball down. It was done. So not many issues with the end at all in terms of choices and that. It was just that time management in the 2-minute drills to score because it could have changed things slightly. It could have made it a bit easier for us to maybe have a chance to win it at the end.
I kind of alluded to it at the start, but again, I'll just say I don't hate the call to go for it on the onside kick. I think you have to do the same decision both times. Both times you're down 10 points. One, there's 30 or 12 minutes to go. One, there's 8 minutes to go. So, in fact, the one with 8 minutes to go is more urgent you steal a possession. So it's probably more likely you should onside kick that one than the previous one. So I was going through it on our Discord with Bria, and if the theory is the time on the clock is also a factor, so by onside kicking, you're giving them a shorter field, which means they can burn less clock, and you're hoping you just hold them to field goals. If you're down 10, you give up a field goal that's 13. If you score a touchdown with a 2-point conversion, it's a 5-point game. You onside kick it again, they get a field goal, it's an 8-point game, and then you can tie the ball game in that possession. So, following that train of thought, as long as you score a touchdown and go for 2, which in the situation where you score a touchdown and it's a 7-point game, you almost never do, you kick the extra point. But say your defense can't make a stop, apart from maybe to hold them to a field goal in a contested part of the field, I can buy going for the onside kick as long as you resolve to go for 2 on your first touchdown drive. But it's a bit of a weird game theory quirk, which I don't think a lot of people have thought through. What's very clear is on the second one, you need to steal the possession. On the first one, you need to decide whether you trust your defense to make a stop or you need to steal a possession. The question hasn't changed. And so the answer should be the same. You don't need to mix up. I saw someone say in the YouTube chat just now, the defense was gassed, and so, okay, well then the kickoff makes even less sense. That's making it a longer field with more places to cover. If the defense is gassed, you want a shorter field in some backward way. So I think
at the time of the first one, they only have to defend one play before it's in. By the time of the second one, the Lions have had a pretty sustained drive in there for several minutes where they will be rested up. So there is credence to that. And again, with the first one, it's all about time. Because don't forget, game situations change with the amount of time. When you get to less minutes in the game, it kind of changes to when you've got 12, 13, 14 minutes left and how people... The clock soon bleeds away when there's 12 minutes left. It doesn't when there's 4 or 5 or 6 left. But we got a sustained drive together, and your defense is fresher on that second kick than it is on the first onside kick. That's where it comes for me. You are taking game situation into account there. And again, you've got your timeouts. So if you give them the longer field, all you need is one tackle for loss, one something like that, just to put them in a bad situation. Then you can use your timeouts, and then you've got plenty of time left afterwards to be able to still go get it. So for me, that's the theory I use behind that and why you did it.
All right, we've touched on all of the game themes already, so I'm just going to go straight into shouting out your players of the week for better or worse. So, Ant, to come to you straight away, who do you want to give a shout out to this week?
Goff. I'm going to give a shout out to Jared Goff because, again, all the naysayers out there saying he can't work without his run game, predominantly bitter Rams fans and teams that he's burned apart in the past. But I thought Jared Goff was incredibly good in this game. Like some of the passes he made, like the little flick out to Patrick for his touchdown, the touchdown throw to Amon-Ra, the sack he escaped out of, it sounds silly, but that could have been a drive killer, and he's able to, he works so well under pressure. And the dude had to throw it nearly 60 times, and he was slinging darts until the end. And people might go, soft coverage this, soft coverage that. Yeah, he worked through a ton of pressure, and he exposed all those gaps they had there. Josh Allen was kind of working with similar because he was scrambling that much. The coverage wasn't great because it can't hold up for that long, and his playmakers can get in space. So I would 100% give Jared a massive shout out for this, because without him, we are nowhere close in that game. He took that offense on his shoulders. He took the effort on his shoulders and was absolutely fantastic.
Ash, what about you?
Jack, coming back from the injury, finally entering the starting lineup again. Had a real bounce back performance, not only from the injury, but in terms of just his season in general. Like, this was his second highest grade of the season behind the Indy game where he got injured. I know he gave up 5 hurries to Ebenezer, which is not exactly great, but he solidified it. He meant that, when Goff is slinging the ball, he had the time and the sort of wherewithal to be able to scan his receivers, make the right decision instead of getting, having to really speed through things, overthrow stuff. So Deck partly is the reason why the offense managed to bounce back and score what it did. So it's good to see him back, because we're going to need him. If this is the trend from now on, we need him to stand up tall, and it looks like he can do now.
I'm going to throw mine to Sam Laporta. This is the first game, really, since the injury at the back end of last year, where I thought, oh no, he's really back. I mean, he had, what was it, 7 for 10 for 111 yards, getting the Nelson in there. I just thought it was terrific, and especially on the last kind of clutch drives at the end, where some will say it's stat padding or garbage time yards, but we're all talking about the fact that we were an onside kick away from maybe making this game interesting. We don't do that without Sam. He had a couple of clutch plays before that too. It seemed like everything thrown to him went for a good chunk of yards, and his movement and his ability to not go down under contact and lower the shoulder and get some extra yards, I thought he was absolutely spectacular. So well done to him. Anyone else? Anyone wants to shout out? And you got another?
Branch. I thought Brian was very good. He had to do a lot of tackling on the day. There's a lot of work there for him. But as I say, the 2 stops in the red zone were really impressive, and they showed just what a great player he is. And it's when the defense was struggling on this day, he was one of the few who was able to stand out and make some plays and look good. But he's going to be an all-timer for us. He's going to be one of the best DBs we've ever had by the time everything is said and done. And this just further for me goes to show how good he is. So I always give a shout out to Brian.
Ash?
Meek. Coming into the week, people were saying, oh yeah, bet the over on Khalil, Shakir, look at all this stuff with Meek Robertson. And then the Meek comes out and holds one of the most informed receivers in the league to 2 catches for 14 yards. Like, the dude was great, especially when the defense got shaken up and that, loads and loads more pieces. He really stepped up, and we kind of need him to. Now with Davis out, he is either, well, Dave, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but one of the options they are considering is booting a Meek outside and then bringing either Mosley or Branch down into the slot. So we're going to need him to continue this form. But he had a damn good week this week, and longer may it continue.
All right, my last one is going to be someone I absolutely love. And it's partially designed because I love him and I thought he had a good game, and it's partially because I think it's going to annoy some people.
We know it's the long snapper. We know it's the long snapper. You don't need to get this going. We know you love him.
I'm going to give a shout out to Kindle Vildor. I thought Kindle had a great game yesterday. In a game where Allen had a lot of good passes happening, Kindle wasn't the one giving them up. Pretty much ever. He had the pass breakup in the end zone, which might be DPI, but wasn't called. If that was
Terry and Arnold, that gets called. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, You say that, but it's Kindle Vildor. Like, you'd think it would be called too, though. It's not like we're talking about some other more fortunate and more talented cornerbacks who get away with this shit. All I'm saying. So, he was identified as a weak link in previous games that we've played. He was thrown at twice, only gave up 1 catch for 7 yards. The only reason why his PFF grade has been tanked is because he gave up a penalty. But that's it.
And the run defense, yeah.
I mean, he played... Yeah, I'm not worried about the run defense. So, I thought he was one of our better players in coverage in a game where we kind of struggled in that facet, especially at the linebacker position. I thought Kindle looked like he belonged. And man, are we going to need him next week. So, yeah. Anyone else want to have a shout out for anyone good, or anyone want to shout out for not having a great game?
I hate doing it, but I pointed it out in the preview, and it fucking came to pass. Graham. I identified him as the weak link. I was like, if there's one matchup the Bills can exploit in the trenches, it's Ed Oliver versus Graham Glasgow. And boy, did they exploit it.
Yeah, he didn't have the best game. I didn't see him have an injury, though. Why did he have an X-ray? I haven't actually seen why.
I would assume it's from that Pascal spear. He took a heavy hit on that one.
Well, Glasgow did.
Glasgow.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Allen. Allen got X-rayed.
Glasgow. I think he got rolled upon on the second to last drive.
Okay.
There's like a run where like the defender, like as the tackle in the back, the Glasgow was then he kind of got his leg done. But it's no excuse. He's having a really bad season. Like I put it in the preview, but he is having like career worst grades this year, which is disappointing from someone we were hoping would be solidifying on that line.
Yeah, we need some more inside interior line, inside offensive line next year. I'm not gonna couple Frank. Frank's having a rough spell at the minute, but if anyone's deserved a rough spell, it's him. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I don't want it to appear like I'm on a witch hunt, but Pascal again. I'm starting to get fed up. Twice he messed up challenges on Josh Allen protecting the edge, and if I'm gonna accept the fact that he's never gonna be an elite pass rusher and do that, then I'm sorry, but I need you to do better if you're gonna contain a quarterback. Twice he let him go on runs that were critical. And I'm just seeing him just run after him and grasp thin air and splatting on the floor. It's not good. And the D line in general was not good, especially when Aleem went out. But he's the one we've invested a good pick in. He's been healthy for long enough now, and I'm still seeing a lot of bad from him. And he needs to get better because we need him. We need him to hold up one edge here while the Darius gets going. So. I'm going to put that in there and just say I'm still concerned and I'm still seeing things I don't like. But it's hard to go after the defense really with just the sheer amount of damn injuries in there outside of that. It's a very difficult position. Like Jack, I don't care. Jack had a bad game. He's had a great season. He's a rookie. He's going to have one-offs and he's put under so much pressure in this game, working with guys off the street basically. It's very hard to go against that. So yeah. I try and keep negatives to a minimum in this.
My only bite back on that is Pascal being healthy. He's just come back from yet another injury. He missed last week. So, and as you say, he got five. This is his season high in pressures. So, like, yeah, okay, he messed it. Even I said it, and I hate to rag on him, but yeah, I was even saying it. But as you say, when he doesn't have the linebackers behind him because to sort of help him contain to it, he is having to go 1-on-1, which is a bad matchup for anyone. You put Darius there, he'll probably have the same happen to him. It's just, yeah, he had the two where he got very close and just missed. 66% missed tackle rate's not good, but he did the best he could. He won. That whole defensive line was not a bright spot outside of Aleem, but I think it was a bit everyone. He had a bad game. Before Chicago, he had an 86 grade. He was really good. It's just maybe him coming off that injury against a really mobile QB and then not having much help from behind him. So hopefully he will bounce back. But yeah, it's tough.
I'm not buying any of what you just said. Just to be completely clear, if Pascal is suffering with coming off injury last week, why is Mohamed only playing 8 snaps? Like, you're either fit enough to play, in which case you have to be able to live with what Alan's doing, or play Mohamed more. Like, you have to be able to do better than what he did. So, okay, in a couple of plays he got close to Allen, but actually the majority of the time when he was having trouble with it, it's just that he completely lost contain, and Allen was just running completely free. Like, either it was really bad coaching, or it was really bad execution. And given what we've seen so far this season, I think it was probably just bad execution. Like, you coming inside and being fenced off on plays by the left tackle, and then the lane's just completely free for the quarterback, and it's like, come on, man! Like, you've got to know that you can't do that. It was flat out poor most of the time.
Yeah,
and also the pressures are a false thing against Allen because he's rushing out of the pocket, which means he's completely unblocked. So if you get within a couple of yards of him, it's going to be deemed a pressure, but you're not actually doing anything to him.
Yeah, this is eye test stuff. I mean, the thing is, we didn't have it on Dazen again, so the coach filming up. Yeah, I want to give him his fair shot, so I'm going to look at it very closely and see if there is extenuating circumstances in there. So I'm not going to put the nail in just yet, but again, it's very clear with my eyes and when I'm watching that he's one of these guys we need to stay. This is year 3 now. This is where you need to be stepping up and making plays, and you're just not progressing at this moment in time. And, when guys like Al-Qadin are coming in and they're doing their best and they've literally come from nowhere, you've got to kind of just take this by the scruff of the neck and go, like, I'm going to be the guy and do this. And in the high-pressure situations in this one, he didn't.
Well, for me, that goes to the whole defensive line. Saying outside of Aleem, no one goes without thinking then, because Zedarius had 2 pressures, which were both hurries. Pascal had 2 hits and 3 hurries.
Empty stats. Like, again, this
so
is why
2
I don't
hits.
do PFF. Yeah, 2
So
hits.
two
One where he
hits.
drops into coverage when Allen's already thrown the thing and he just hits him afterwards. Allen still completes
So
the
when
pass.
there's only 2 of her QB hits from the entire rest of the defense, one by Turner, one from Alexander, both blitzing linebackers. If you're rather go Pascal here for empty stats, and at least he got to Allen. Everyone else had hurries and got him out the pocket. So that's what I'm trying to say. Like, yeah, Pascal had a rough game. So did everyone. So Mohammed graded out worse by PFF. Jonah Williams, who
Oh, I
can play
don't
that
give a
sort of
fuck
bit.
about PFF. We're not doing this. This is the
Yeah.
eye test here. And again, we've spent a big pick. Al-Qadim Mohammed's a free agent off the street. Like, there is a difference here.
But
You've got to go out and the big plays he did have, the chances he had to make a play on Josh Allen, he didn't take. That's not the rest of the defensive line's fault. That's his fault. So,
but yeah, no,
that's my point, though.
You're
That's
right.
my
The
point,
same
though,
does
so-
go for all of them. But so Mohammed, the reason why Mohammed didn't play any more snaps is because he got burned on that touchdown early. So when he takes Allen on the RPO, when he hands it off instead of it being an Allen keeper, he effectively gets benched after that play. He's on the field 1 or 2 more times. So I answer my own question as saying, well, why is Mohammed playing instead of Pascal? It's because of that. But in that, Mohammed's had 1 bad play out of his 8 snaps, and that's why his grade is worse. Pascal had a lot more opportunity to at least revert back up to the mean. Mohammed is unequally affected by having 1 bad play in the few plays he actually had. So if you're talking about grades, that's why. And if Mohammed had played a little bit more and it had just been nothing plays, his grade would have gone up. So I do think Za'Darius, should obviously take some responsibility too. He also lost contain on the other side. Pascal did it more regularly, though. It was more frequent with Pascal than it was with anyone else, and it was more blatant. I think they targeted Pascal, and maybe it was because he was injured last week. But I still come back to you're fit or you aren't, and that may be a harsh way to look at it. But if you're playing, you have to know your assignment, and for me, it kind of feels like he got lost a little bit.
But to say with Z, for example, if let's say with us we're healthy, who would you rather run if you're a QB? Who would you rather run away from? Would you rather run from Aiden Hutchinson or Pascal? You're going to run towards Pascal. You run away from their best edge rusher. So yeah, Pascal seemed to lost contain, but that's because on the balance of things, most of the scrambles were to the Allen's right, where Pascal is, because he's trying to get away from the elite edge rusher. So it's going to make Pascal look worse because you are running away from the elite guy. So that's going to make Pascal look worse if he breaks contain. If it was more 50-50, maybe Z would then have some of these bad plays that he didn't get because he didn't have the opportunity to have them. That's my point.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I
agree.
That.
I agree. Pascal had a bad game because that's supposed to be his thing. Like I said, defending him earlier this year, I was like, okay, he's never going to be 50, 60 pressure guy unless it really goes right for him. But what he's good at is he's good at setting the edge. He did shit this week, but so did everyone else. And it's like an amalgamation of it's just building on top. I agree he had a bad game, but so did everyone else. And maybe that just multiplies things, is my point.
No, that's absolutely fair. Let's draw a line under the conversation here. We are going to very briefly talk about the rest of the weekend's games, but I just want to briefly talk about where the Lions go from here, because a lot of people were talking about the next 3 games. I myself in the Discord said, or in the WhatsApp group, people were saying, what's your season expectations now? And I kind of said, I'm proud of the team right now. I have no expectations from here. Even if we lost every single game from here, I'd still be proud of this team. They've kind of met my expectations by hitting the joint franchise record for regular season wins. And that may be a defeatist attitude. And then I reevaluated it and I thought, well, I'm going to have a look and actually see who's left on this team. Because the offense clearly still has the guys. Okay, Gibbs is now going to be sharing a bit more of the load at running back. But otherwise on offense, completely healthy. So turning the attention to the defense, is it all doom and gloom? Are we just fucked now? And let me just go through what might be our starting nickel formation for next week. 4 down linemen of Za'Darius Smith, Levi Onwuzurike in place of Ali McNeil, DJ Reader and Josh Pascal rotating with Al-Qadim Mohammed. Linebackers Jack Campbell and Ezekiel Turner, with Quan Alexander, David Long, and then Trevor Nowaski to come back, as well as Ben Neiman. all names we know, have played very well up until this game. Almost all of them, to a fault, have been fine, if not good in some points. Ezekiel Turner especially, but Nowaski's played very well. Ben Neiman's had some good reps. Kwon has been up and down. David Long, I think, has actually looked pretty good, generally speaking. And then we've got cornerbacks being, and let's say for the sake of argument, it's just Vildor coming in to make this simple. Vildor and Arnold on the outside, Robertson in the nickel, Branch and Joseph at safety. So, okay, you've got only DJ Reader as your day one starter. Even then he was injured to start the season, but let's say he's the only day one starter on the D-line. But if you had Zadarius Smith to start the season, he would have been a day one starter. Opposite Hutch. So that's 2 day one starters. Levi Enrique was on an absolute tear through pre-season and was threatening to start. So that's 3 potential day one starters on your defensive line. And Josh Pascal, who's someone you have hope for, who you thought could come back into it. A linebacker, you've got Jack Campbell as your first round guy, who's had a terrific season up until last week. And then Ezekiel Turner, who's been fantastic in relief apart from last week, from yesterday. Nowaski, who's had some great reps in there, but, you know, that second linebacker spot is a legit question, but we've had some good reps there. And then you've got both starting safeties in Branch and Joseph. You've got your starting outside corner in Arnold. You've got a starting nickel in Robertson. It's just linebacker 2 and Vildor and Pascal, who aren't starter level. And even then, it's starter level in inverted commas, because Pascal's, you would hope he would be there by now, and he hasn't had a great season, but he's been hit with injury and whatever, as Ash was saying. Nowaski and Turner, okay, that is a legit weakness. And then Vildor has his up and down days. But are we really... I was in the doom and gloom stage 3 hours ago. And then you actually have a look back at this defense, and I'll come straight to Ash first. Is it as bad as people have been making it out to be, is basically the question, I guess.
Yes and no. So I agree. The no, I definitely agree. There are people there who have been here since day one and would have started. It's just because it's the knock-on effect of everyone else where we've got no depth behind that. So it's the rotational guys. So we've gone from Levi being that rotational guy, Pascal being that rotational guy, to suddenly them being starters, and behind them you've got guys who weren't even on the team 3 weeks ago. At linebacker, Campbell, yes, was a starter. Zeke Turner's played well this season, but he's a converted special teamer. He's only been here 4 weeks. Simon Nishi is a special teamer. He's been thrust into the starting lineup. And behind them, you've got guys who just weren't here, again, a couple of weeks ago with Quan Alexander and all that. So the loss of depth there. And then in the secondary, okay, got 4 out of the 5 starters, but no depth behind them. We've got Brandon Joseph and Manuel Mosley. That's it. So I think it's just a combination of we've lost some of the stars. Like Aleem was clearly a star, Hutch is a star, Anzalone is a 100% down player. Carlton Davis has been one of the best cornerbacks in the league the past couple of weeks. We've lost them, and then we've lost quite a lot of the depth behind them, either by them becoming starters or because they themselves have got injured. That it just has this knock-on effect where it is really like the straw breaking the camel's back at this point. Like, one more injury and we could be completely fucked, to put it bluntly. So while it is perhaps not doom and gloom, like we're starting everywhere, we're starting bad players, it's just because the margin for error on defense is so thin now that we are really getting to the point where, yeah, we're having to scroll through people's practice squads. We're having to look at free agents, thinking about people at the calls to get Fletcher Cox, Aaron Donald, Ndamukong Suh all out retired, JJ Watt out of retirement. Those become loud. We're looking at potentially bringing Xavier Howard, all these kind of things. It's just where we want to be. This defense is really not there. It's kind of given us flashbacks to early days this regime and before, where, yeah, we were starting players who, frankly, would be third stringers on other teams. It's got to that point again. And so perhaps it's just this kind of like fear of deja vu that we're going back to those days where we'd have amazing offensive performances, but just because the defense couldn't stop a blanket, it's kind of that fear. So yeah, I agree. Perhaps when you put it like that, we've still got quite a lot of the starters, inverted commas, It's just because we don't have people behind them who can rotate in to help. So those players are going to have to play more, which means they're more likely to get injured. It's just that knock-on effect.
And what do you think about all of this? Because I think there's been a lot of hyperbole about this defense. When I look back on it, there's still some horses there.
There is. First off, about season expectation and stuff like that. There's still a lot of reason. We should still have serious expectations for this season. Like when you mentioned, like if they lost every game from now on, you'd still be proud of them. It's not a dig. This is me personally. I think it's a massive disappointment. Because if you lose every game from here, you finish second in the NFC North, potentially third. You don't win a playoff game. What have we done this year? We've set the record for most games we've won in succession, something like that. Who cares? No one does. The only thing that matters in this business is Super Bowls and championships and winning trophies. And we're in a window now where we're primed to go out and get them. So my aspirations are still a lot higher than meekly limping towards the end of this season and just getting it over with and punting it to next year. Because let me tell you, you know what's going to happen next year? Potentially playing devil's advocate. Aleem's not going to be healthy. Malcolm Rodriguez is not going to be healthy. If Hutch doesn't play this year, he's going to be coming back off a serious leg injury, and who knows what's going to happen with him. We've got massive concerns about the interior of our offensive line if Frank Ragnow and Graham Glasgow continue to struggle. And all of a sudden, you've got a lot of pieces to replace. You've got a lot of questions to answer, hypothetically. And next season's not going to be easy. Like, the Bears will probably get better. The Packers and the Vikings, if JJ McCarthy comes back, you cannot just punt to next year and go, it's going to be fine. It's not. This team potentially won't be fine next year. No matter how good Brad drafts, etc. I wish he was my dad. I'd love a draft brain like his, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you may never get this opportunity again. And you've got to go after it with everything you've got, and you've got to maintain serious aspirations of going all the way here. And the defense is struggling. We've got enough there. Why is it enough there? What is it we've got? We've got our big right hook still with us. The old adage in boxing, the last thing that goes is a boxer's punch. You can get rid of all the mobility, you can get rid of all the flashiness, the cardio, the athleticism, stuff like that. As long as you can still land a punch that knocks somebody out, you're still dangerous. Our offense is our knockout punch. And Monty is out, yes. We've got a 1,000-yard rusher in Jahmyr Gibbs. We've got Craig Reynolds, who we know can work for us. We've got Sione Vake, who we know can be an explosive player for us. We still have a knockout punch of an offense that can go out there on a given day and put a team down. And we've got a defense that can give us the opportunity to go out and do that. So whilst, yeah, all these injuries suck, they're terrible, and we've got a lot of players out, again, it just goes back to what we started the show with. You can't just allow it to get the better. You can't just say, oh, well, that sucks this year. Dan's not making excuses for it. And, that's the right attitude to have. These guys are professional athletes. They are in here. They're in the building. A lot of them have been with us for a long time now. They should be able to go out there. And all you need is a play or two. That's all you need. And as long as your offense is good, you've got a fighting chance. So I still expect us to make a deep run this year. I still don't think there's many teams in the NFC that can trade punches with us, even with our defense still in the flux it is now. Maybe the Eagles, someone like that. We've put the Packers away twice. We've put the Rams away twice this year. They all step up to us. We knock them back down again. So it sucks and the injuries hurt, but we've still got more than enough to go out there and win this. And we should absolutely not just be settling this year. We should be going out there and pushing that ceiling further. Getting more playoff wins, more deep runs, making this a habit. Can't even afford to miss 1 year because you may not get back again.
Yeah, exactly what Dan said last year, isn't it? Yeah, I said that to myself in the depths of my despair before recovering and getting some feeling back in my legs, shall we say. Right, let's talk about the rest of the slate. We covered Thursday Night Football in our preview for this game, so skipping over that. First up is Chiefs at Browns. Chiefs win 21-7 in an ugly, ugly game by both teams. Kansas City did not look fantastic, but Mahomes 19 of 38, 159 and 2 touchdowns, has a mild high ankle sprain, expected to be week to week, but he's probably going to be fine, maybe even to play next week. James Winston, 16 of 25 for 146 and 3 picks, was eventually benched. I don't even know what to say about this, boys, because Chiefs continue to be mediocre at best and just churn out wins.
Wow. I'm going to ask the question. Did you start Xavier Worthy when he got that rushing touchdown?
I did, yeah.
Yay!
I did. So I got that, but I also had Jameis as my quarterback.
Oh, for God's sake. It could be worse. It could be worse.
I had Jameis or Drake May, so I thought, well, Jameis is at least putting up like 500 yards and some touchdowns, so that'll be fine. But Jameis got negative 1.9 points, so that just raised
Oh,
out.
okay. Maybe it not be worse, because I was about to say I started Rock Purdy and Geno Smith in one of my leagues this week. Combined for like 11 points.
Do you know the depressing thing was? We talk about my fantasy mishaps when I realized I've obviously got Deebo Samuel in my fantasy team, and someone put up that tweet that now Dan Skipper has as many receiving touchdowns as he does this year. And I'm thinking, why is my prize wide receiver got the same number of receiving touchdowns through 15 weeks as my backup left tackle? Roster.
That's absolutely rough.
It's just not funny at this point. My season has like they're accusing me of throwing my league. I'm 5-9. I started off 4-1, but just now Jalen Waddle's hurt, and besides, the Dolphins don't throw to him. They throw to Jonnu Smith. Why? You've got so much great talent there, and you throw to journeyman Jonnu Smith. But you know,
I mean, to be fair, Jonnu Smith should go to the Pro Bowl. The way he's played this season, he's been absolutely brilliant.
He should, but screw him, because he's wrecked my season. Like, I've got so many great players, and the ones that have had circumstances where they've been eked out their team. So yeah, my fantasy woes continue.
Next game up, Bengals at Titans. The Titans got off to a heck of a start in this game. They were up 14-7 early on, before being reeled in, and the Bengals eventually got out to a 37-27 victory. The Bengals had an interception on the second play of the game, which is not exactly how they'd like to start, but Burrow, came back swinging 26-37 for 271, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Mason Rudolph came in relief of Will Levis, who was 8 of 12 for 89 and 3 picks. Rudolph then goes 21 of 26 for 209, 2 touchdowns and 1 pick. It's like we were saying in the preseason about the Titans. Will Levis may be an okay quarterback, but this team doesn't suit him. This scheme doesn't suit him. And then Mason Rudolph comes in and makes it look pretty bloody easy. Like, I know the Bengals are crap on defense, but then Levis throws 3 picks in 12 throws. It's another weird one. I mean, the way the Titans went up early, you feared for the Bengals, but their season is somehow still alive, boys.
Pretty sure I called an upset in this.
You
and
did.
I felt very smug early on. I thought, yeah, the Bengals look terrible, but then you don't account for Will Levis looking absolutely garbage. So, turnovers do that one away, but I thought it was it was a fun game. I'll actually watch more of a Titans game this year than I've ever watched. I think they're terrible, but it was quite fun. I'll give it the same. I still think the Bengals suck. Like, I don't think the Bengals come out of this with any great credit. Like, they just kept getting thrown the ball and okay, yeah, we'll put it in, whatever. But they're not good. And what, they lost Chuba Hubbard now? Is he done? Not Sam Hubbard, isn't it?
Sam
Hubbard's done. He's done his PCL, so that's another injury for them there. They ain't making the playoffs, I don't think. Their season's done and dusted. They'll be in Cabo soon.
I mean, yeah, the inspiration maybe for the Dan Skipper touchdown with the pass to him for the touchdown, but he's put the nail in perhaps both teams' coffins. Like, the Bengals are still probably grind out wins and look relatively good offensively, and even if they do make it to the dance, they'll be one and done probably, which sucks. They need to put stuff around Burrow properly on. They need to give him a competent defense, otherwise he's going to turn into the next Matt Stafford, which is really sad.
Super Bowl winning Matt Stafford. Anyway,
against the Bengals.
Ben Johnson's going to go and win a Super Bowl with the Lions this year, and then he'll go to the Bengals and win one with Burrow.
I could see it.
Cement
Not
his
against
legacy.
us.
Oh no, in like 5 years' time when we've like three-peated and we're rebuilding because we're paying so many fucking great players and we've got to. That'll be fine then.
In one of the more hilarious games of the day, the Washington Commanders just beat the New Orleans Saints. The Commanders were up, I think, 17-0. I just want to double check that I've got that right. It was 17-0 at the start of the second half. And then the Saints bring it all the way back to 20-19, go for 2 with the last play of the game with the time off, and do not get it. Saints had 3 throwers in this game, including Cedric Wilson, 1 of 1 for 21 and the touchdown on what I presume is a trick play because I didn't watch it. Jay Kaner looked awful, 4 of 10 for 49 and a pick from what I saw. Rattler came in, didn't look a huge amount better for 10 of 21 for 135 and a touchdown. Jaden Daniels, 25 of 31 for 226 and 2 touchdowns. Isn't a stat line which looks like it should be close. Looks efficient and productive. He suffered 8 sacks, though, in this game. And, you know, if the Saints do have one thing, it's that they've still got a front 7. I do have Alvin Kamara in my fantasy team, and he went 5 rushes for 12 yards. But he did get 4 of 5 for 58 and a touchdown, including an unbelievable catch in the corner of the end zone. Was fantastic. I think that the Cedric. No, that wasn't the Cedric Wilson one, was it? I think that was the Cedric Wilson pass, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Jaden Daniels 11 for 66 on the ground. Washington stay alive in the fight for the division, but you know they're a way off the Eagles probably at this point. But they're playing the Eagles next week, right? I'm pretty sure they do. Anyway, and you were laughing to holy hell, I presume, because the Saints brought it all the way back only to lose.
Oh yeah, it's amazing when you get it and then you go for the 2-pointer and you don't get it. It's like, why, guys? You are a trash-ass 5-win team. Why are you trying to win? Just tank like you should have for the last decade and reset your franchise. But no, they're like, oh no, we're going to try and win this thing. And it was a terrible play as well that they called for. It just never had any chance of doing anything. So I just think the Saints are frauds, and I like watching them lose. They did really well. Like you say, they've got some really good players there, but this is what makes it more infuriating that they're not rebuilding the damn thing up because they're just quite happy to sit with one good side of the ball and be a mediocre team in what is quite frankly a trash division. Like that, the NFC South is not good at all. They should be winning it, but they're not. But they're determined to go out there and just carry on being mediocre. So you've got to give credit to them.
Yeah. The allegations for Cliff Kingsbury's come back a bit, though, haven't they? You cannot scheme up an offense in the second half of stuff because they just fell apart offensively. But yeah, I think the Saints' methodology is, it's such a bad division that if we're mediocre enough, one year we'll win the division, and that's the only saving grace they've really got, isn't it? So they do whatever they want. It's just funny. Like the thing that kept coming back to me was the picture that they kept using for JK, and that like of all the pictures to use of the guy, you use one that just makes him look like a complete and utter idiot. It's hilarious.
All right. Next one is the Ravens at the Giants. This one was not close at all for any of the game. Ravens win 35-14 in a game which featured Tim Boyle, which is all you really need to know about it. Lamar Jackson went 21 of 25 for 290 and 5 touchdowns. And New York had absolutely no answer for it. The spread was 17 in the biggest spread so far this season, and the Giants did not cover, but at least Malik Neighbors still continue to look good. 10 of 14 for 82 and a touchdown. Lamar is Lamar, and New York is, unfortunately for them, New York.
Yeah, even Tyrone Tracy couldn't save them, much to my chagrin, because I've started him in fancy thinking, at least he'll get a couple of yards. 10 carries for 31 yards and 1 catch for 4 yards. Ain't going to cut it. But yeah, just it was going to be. We knew it was going to be like this. It was just a method, like whether it would be this bad, and it was. Like you got to the point where Baltimore was so far ahead that they just threw Josh Johnson out there just to take a sack for shits and gigs. So well done. Both teams did what they're supposed to do. Whichever poor quarterback is going to get drafted by New York to get ruined. I hope you at least get a bounce back like Geno Smith has.
And
Why did they draft Malik Neighbors? He is such a great, prodigious talent. They don't need a wide receiver. Like their offense is garbage. They need O-linemen. They need tackles. They need somebody, and they need someone on the center to throw it to him. It just seems such a luxury pick. Like he's here balling out, taking passes from nobody, and he looks absolutely amazing, which is great. But you don't need him. And it seems by the time he's going to be good, you're going to be paying him stupid amount of money to stay with you, which just their roster building confuses me. But they looked awful. The Ravens didn't need to get out of second gear. It was a non-contest. The Giants continue to suck, and hey, maybe that's the price for beating the Patriots twice. They will never win anything again ever. So who knows?
next up's the Cowboys against the Panthers. Panthers favoured for the first time in 2 seasons, but can't get it done. Cooper Rush. Well, I mean, are the Cowboys even missing Dak at this point? Cooper was 18 of 29 for 214, 3 touchdowns, no picks. And Rico Dowdle, 25 carries for 149 yards on the ground. Bryce tried his best at 19 of 28 for 219, a touchdown, 2 picks. I don't think he looked out of his depth. His team was just not as good as the Cowboys, unfortunately, but did have time to throw Jalen Coker an 83-yard receiving touchdown. 4 of 6 for 110 and a touchdown was Jalen Coker. But CeeDee Lamb was CeeDee Lamb too, 19 of 13 for 116 and a touchdown. And it's a shame for Bryce that they couldn't convert in a position where they were favoured, but you know, the Cowboys have still got some good players on their team, and if they decide to turn up, then they can actually score points. It's just a shame for the Panthers they decided to beat up on a team that's really trying. Really trying.
This was one of the few picks I did get right this week. But it's that D-line. It just harassed the hell out of him. They gave Bryce no protection whatsoever. I think he did have some throws that were good, but I watched some of this, and just every time I saw Bryce, he was getting out of the middle of a scrum because he'd been sacked again. They got him like 7, 8 times, something like that. It's very hard for your quarterback to get up and try and keep slinging darts all over the place when he's just getting hit all the time. They had no run game. It's quite obvious what they were going to do. And the one thing the Dallas defense will do well on you, if you're behind and chasing, they've got the front 7 to just go, right, okay, we're going to go and kill your quarterback. And that's kind of what they did. I still think Bryce is on an upward trajectory. It's kind of maybe a little setback for him, but his team has to take some responsibility at some point as well. His team's not doing him a lot of good either, but glad Coker's doing well. Small school shout out there. We want to see the FCS guys doing well in year 1. So he looks really good and probably going to be a big piece for them going forward for a long time. So yeah, a win for the FCS guys this year.
Have I gone to you on this game? Sorry.
Nah,
I'm losing track.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, I agreed. Like, Bryce is doing his best to carry that shoddy organisation on his back. There's only so much you can do. And as much as we love to rag on the Cowboys, they still do have enough talent to eke out wins when they want to, like this. Like, Dowdle's having a breakout game, having a really good season. Maybe they found a running back, so they won't have to, make me hate Austin Deontay. So that'd be nice. But it is what it is. Both teams' seasons are done. Playing for nothing, really. Panthers get a slightly higher pick. Hopefully they can pick a decent offensive lineman. That'd be nice.
Next game up is the battle of 3-win teams in Jets at Jags, and for a long time it looked like Mac Jones was going to outduel Aaron Rodgers. The Jags were ahead for a long time in this game, but eventually surrendered the lead at about the end of the third quarter, and the Jags, did get their noses back into within touching distance before the Jets then got ahead, and it all ended with an ugly interception, I think, by Mac Jones headed for Parker Washington. It was a bit of a desperation ball, and Sauce picked it off, although Sauce had a terrible day in himself. 32-25 it finished. Aaron Rodgers, 16 of 30 for 289 and 3 touchdowns, only a completion above 50%. Didn't get very much going on the ground as well. Aaron Rodgers was the leading rusher for the Jets, and more than Breece Hall, which is shocking to me. The Jags on the other...
Who's got him on his fantasy team?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Not a clue. Oh, dear, both of you. Christ.
Oh, shit.
Mac Jones was 31 of 46 for 294, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Otherwise, got a bit going on the ground. Both teams had over 120 yards rushing on the day. What was very clear is Devontae Adams is back, 9 of 12 for 198 and 2 touchdowns. Brian Thomas has continued his fantastic season, 10 of 14 for 105 and 2 touchdowns. But Ant, to your point about Malik Neighbours, ditto Brian Thomas.
Oh God, yeah, he's been fantastic. Like that looks a bit of a genius pick by the Jags now, because obviously Trevor Lawrence should be healthy going forward. So like they've got their star for a long time now, and they didn't have to pay the premium that some other teams did for their guys earlier on. So I actually thought this was a really good game. Considering sometimes when you get these 3-win teams each, they kind of just let loose on one another a bit. I thought the Jags were pretty good. You know, Mac, obviously, it's the picks that really settle this one, and you know, it's a tight affair. But I thought the Jets were good. I thought the Jags were good. I thought they put on a good spectacle. Probably one of the more enjoyable games this weekend, all told. And so yeah, some good performances. Tank played well for the Jags. Like I so badly want them, like make him your guy going forward. Make him your guy. He deserves it. You'd go be a really good running back for you there. Don't do anything stupid in the draft this year and go out and try and get another one. You've got good there. You just need to, again, another team that needs to get its line done, and it needs to get a bit older on defense. Like I remember when we played them, there's stuff full of rookies on there, and it kind of shows that there's not a lot of good veterans on that team. So, but yeah, I thought it was very enjoyable.
Yeah, I agree. And before someone shouts him out, well done to Brenton Strange for stepping up at the tight end role to 11 catches on 12 targets, 73 yards. And oh my God, is that Josh Reynolds I can see in Jacksonville? 1 target for no catches. Fair play to him, still sticking around after, the shooting. But yeah, just why do the Jets still have to like eke out wins? Like it's annoying. Like rather like fair play. Devontae Adams has finally worked out to be a receiver again. Jeremy Rookup making a catch, seemingly Aaron Rodgers forgived him for whatever happened a couple of weeks ago. They still don't have a run game though. Poor Breece Hall. Poor Izzy Abadbakanda, man. He would, if he got some of these, he would have absolutely hit the hole and taught people a new one. But alas, they had to be dumb and release him. Didn't know.
Moving on, just to say that the Jacksonville Jaguars continuing their run at the number 1 overall pick. I wish I'd bet on it, but never mind. Anyway, moving on to the Dolphins at the Texans, and the Dolphins are needing to win, I think, to stay alive. So I don't think I've been told they're done.
I will look now.
I was under the impression if they'd lost this game, they were out. But maybe it's just mathematically ridiculous if they get in rather than impossible. But 20 points to 12 this game finished for the Texans. CJ Stroud was poor. 18 of 26 for 131 and 2 touchdowns, no picks. Tua was worse. 29 of 40 for 196, a touchdown, but 3 interceptions in some really key spots. Neither side had over 80 yards on the ground. Defenses ruled the day. There was 2 fumbles by each team. It was just a rough day generally. There were 7 sacks between the 2 teams. The interceptions for the Texans on Tua, 2 by Stingley, really hurt towards the end of the game. 1 by Kalen Bullock. Ugly game. Neither side smelling of roses, to be honest. Ash, are Miami still alive?
Just about, yeah. Next Gen Stats has them with a 6% chance to win because there's 3 games left and they're 2 games behind the 7th seed, which is the Chargers at 8 and 6. So they've got a chance, but the Colts have more of a chance, 10%, which says everything, doesn't it?
Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Like one thing I did like from Miami, kind of on offense here, was they've actually spread the ball around a bit. Unfortunately, not to Jaden Waddle, which will probably make someone very sad. I'm sorry.
Let's not do this, please. He got no points for me in this one because he got hurt.
I'm sorry. 2 targets for no catches ain't great. But Malik Washington kind of breaking out. I like that a bit. Having seen him in college, but just Texans do what they need to do. Even though I know I accidentally said it was Stephon Diggs doing it, and not Nico Collins. But Nico Collins being very efficient, 4 catches, 17 yards, 2 touchdowns, doing just about enough. But at least the Texans have clinched now. They can kind of focus on working things out for the playoffs because I want them to make a deep run this year. I know they got in last year and didn't get all the way. I know it's probably going to, if we do make the Super Bowl, it'd probably be against the Bills. I just want it to be against the Texans because that would just be so fun. Just imagine it, us versus the Texans to win a Super Bowl. I'd love it.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was Stingley's first interception too. It was one of the best interceptions I've seen all year.
It was filthy.
I think it was the first one.
It was the first one, yeah.
The full extension grab to get it out of the receiver's hands, like that was special. Like that is what you expect from a pick so high up there. Like it's just, I was amazed by it. Also, is Tua trying to get himself killed because he was leaning down into tackles again, and there was one particularly brutal hit that he took that was on him, and I'm like, come on, man. You've had that many concussions now, and you are still doing this. Just look after yourself. Because he got knocked up bad, he had sacks in, and that's why the interceptions are coming, because he's just getting absolutely dinged up, and he's making mistakes. But like some of this he's bringing on himself, and I don't get it. He's been ruled out for a lot this year, and you're still just. I don't like where this is going to end with him, because I think one day he's just going to do something stupid, and it's going to cause him a lot of damage, and I don't want to see that. So. The season's done for the Dolphins. They really need to go back to the drawing board now and decide what they're going to do, because they've paid a lot of high price guys to go down there in recent years. It's just not worth. They dare I say they need to blow it up there, and they need to start again, because they've got a lot of it wrong, and that roster's just really unbalanced at the moment, and it's not good. And they say it couldn't even put away a Texas team that was struggling, and it has struggled all year. So they need some massive changes in Miami right now.
It was a really worrying injury for Grant Dubose, who was put in an ambulance on the field. There was an update provided via the newspapers 6-7 hours ago saying that he remained in hospitals for evaluation overnight. His movement in his extremities and the initial tests have revealed positive results, but he remains under doctor's care. He got neck and head imaging done at the hospital, although that result has not been revealed. He had head-to-head contact with Caleb Bullock, sorry. So yeah, that was worrying. Hope he is okay, because it's one of those where, you know, you think about the worst. So yeah, I agree with you, and I think they need to blow it up. I would be shopping Tyreek. I'd be shopping Jalen Waddle. And I'd be trying to build around Malik Washington, Achan, maybe keep Jonnu Smith around, because a bit of an emergency valve for you, not on a huge amount of salary. Okay, kind of with Mostert and Achan and Smith and Washington, I think you can build a passable offense which isn't going to set the world alight, but you don't have to pay the world either. And then, you know, Ogba goes, Campbell goes. You can get rid of like slightly older talent. Jalen Ramsey, can you get anything for him?
Exactly. But you're not competing no more, and the Bills are so far in front of you. You may as well do it while the Pats and the Jets suck as well, because then you can jump ahead of them. So do it right now.
Yeah, fair. All right, moving on. We have the Colts at the Broncos, and for a brief moment, I did think that my weakness for the Colts was actually going to bear some fruit, but it didn't come to pass. Broncos accelerate away from the Colts after being 13-7 up at the half. Broncos scored 21 in the fourth quarter to run out 31-13 winners. Bo Nix did not have his best day. 20 of 33 for 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, and they only had 72 yards on the ground. So the Broncos won by 18 and they scored 31 points, and they only had 202 yards of total offense. That's shocking, especially when the Colts had 321 yards of offense. So they were outgained by almost 120 yards. Well, what happened? 3 fumbles by the Indianapolis Colts and 2 picks for Anthony Richardson. And there's your game, even with Jonathan Taylor having 22 carries for 107 yards. Oh, no touchdowns, though, for Jonathan Taylor after he celebrated too early in one of several instances this weekend. Absolutely shocking behaviour for these people. I think, was it you said they should give up a game check?
For who?
For anyone who drops the ball at the 1 yard line when they're celebrating.
Oh yeah, yeah. They should absolutely. It's atrocious.
Anthony Richardson, less than 50% again. It seems like he's kind of reverting back to where he was when he got benched, boys.
Who's going to make the obvious joke for this one? More turnovers than a Austrian bakery. Like, there were 5 picks and 4 fumbles. Like, every time you came to this game, you're like, hang on, I swear the other team had a ball a minute ago.
I contend it should be 6 picks. I feel Nick Benito has been screwed over by that pick 6 being ruled a fumble return. That was a pick 6.
Yeah.
He snatched that ball out the air. And I don't Mitchell should be...
But it was a backwards pass, so it's technically a fumble.
That's what I'm saying. It's been screwed over. It should... You watch that play, that should be a pick. They should change the rules so that could be a pick 6, because that was a great pick 6. I loved it. But he's been screwed over.
Yeah, there are some rules that should change like that, because one of the few sensible things Tony Romo said in our game the other day is that intentional grounding should be classed as sacks, which they should be. Aleem should have had a sack on Josh Allen for that intentional grounding. It's not. We then keep the sack pads clean. So, like, when he catches it like that, just use common sense. It really is a pick 6, right?
Thank you.
Just use your common sense. But yeah, like, every time you saw the ball, you're like, hang on, I was just watching a Broncos drive and it was first, like, what the fuck? Like, oh, they got it back again. I don't know. There's like double-digit turnovers in that one. It was crazy.
Ashley, do you want to say any more about that game?
Just what the hell is going on with just with Denver's offense. I know Nick's had a bad game, but like, how do you Javonte Williams fall off needs to be studied. Like, that guy was electric in college and he's done fuck all since in the league. And just like, how do you have that little lads like Cortland Sutton at least was efficient, getting his touchdown, Troutman doing Sean Payton things, getting his touchdown, but just it looks so bad on offense. Both teams did. It was one of the worst games to watch, despite the scoreline, in my opinion. Like, I was kind of watching out the corner of my eye, because obviously I'd love to see the Colts burn because of what they've done to Anthony Richardson and obviously the beef from a couple of years ago. So, but just Jonathan Taylor, man, you've killed my fantasy season. I hope you're happy.
Next game up is the Steelers at the Eagles. Eagles win 27-13. Pittsburgh were in this game at the half 17-13 down before the Eagles pulled away. In Jalen Hurts' best performance of the season, potentially 25 of 32 for 290 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he had more than 100 passing yards, guys. He deserves a fucking medal at this point. He also had 15 for 45 and a touchdown on the ground. Saquon was held fairly in check, actually, though, apart from that, 19 for 65 and a long of 22. But A.J. Brown, 8 of 11 for 110 and a touchdown. Devonta Smith, 11 for 12 for 109 and a touchdown. And Russell Wilson just couldn't respond. They had less than 60 yards on the ground and less than 130 through the air. And to go to the Pittsburgh stand, we have resident. This is a rough day, and I mean, maybe you have a look at the Steelers as just a well-run organisation. They are so well-run that they have done so well against teams just not as good as them, but come up against a team that has talent. And maybe it's just a little bit tougher.
Tu parles français? Je ne sais pas anglais. Pittsburgh Steelers? Je ne comprends pas.
D'accord.
I hope the Senior Bowl people aren't watching after I tagged you in that thing to get a signed Keanu Bentu card. You've screwed yourself. You could have got the card, and now you've screwed yourself.
Keanu Benton? I know nothing.
I come from Barcelona.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was too much. Steelers defense did really good as well. They gave them chances and they didn't deliver. So I still think the Steelers are a good team, but then they're maybe not on par with the Eagles just yet.
that's fair. That's fair. Like at least Pat Prime finally got a touchdown. I was so happy for him. So I got a touchdown. I was like, yes, finally they're working out how to use him again. But yeah, the Eagles were too much, unfortunately. Like, just the only thing I want to say is, can they please get Cooper DeJean off punt returns, please? He's your starting nickel. Don't do this to yourselves. Put someone else back there. Put Kenneth Gainwell back there. Put anyone back there other than him, please. You're going to get him hurt.
Yeah, he's all right. Anyway, next up is the Patriots at the Cardinals. Cardinals run out 30-17 winners in a game that wasn't particularly close. Arizona went out to a 10-0 lead through the first quarter, and New England just couldn't recover. Kyler wasn't perfect, but he was 23 of 30 for 224. No touchdowns or picks, but the story of this game is James Conner, 16 for 110 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Receptions of any tight end this year, and the 10th most receiving yards of any receiver. 5th most receptions of any receiving player, wide receiver or tight end, and he's 10th in receiving yards, and he doesn't have a touchdown despite being almost 2 meters tall and 111 kilos. So ridiculous.
You stole my stats. That's why I put my hand up. I was going to say the stat that Trey McBride has broke the record for most receptions in a season without a touchdown reception. You stole the stat from me. My one good take on this. God.
Oh, yeah. He'll get injured for a month now.
Yeah.
One play and then he's out for a month. That's the rules with Julian Aguirre. Kyler Murray owes the rest part of his paycheck because they saved him from having one of the most embarrassing picks of all time. When they did the Patriots pass rusher up for target him, but roughing the passer. But it was that limp, stupid throw from his own 2-yard line that went about 5 yards directly to a Patriots player who had nobody in the vicinity. It just dink, there you go. Should have been returned for a pick six, and he got that call back. But it was horrendous. But yeah, they would never endanger the Cardinals here, and unfortunately, Darius Robinson looks like he's getting good as well, so I kind of need that to stop so I can continue my anti-Raz agenda. So, not too many more, please, Darius.
All right, next game up 2 left is the Buccaneers at the Chargers, and the Buccaneers, what a game, especially in that second half. They run out 40-17 victors after being 17-13 down at the half. They ran out 27-0 in the second half. Herbert was 21 of 33 for 195, 2 touchdowns and a pick, but they only had 32 rushing yards on the day. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, Baker Mayfield 22 of 27 for 288, 4 touchdowns and an interception, in a day where Bucky Irving took over, 15 carries for 117 yards. And take a bow, Mike Evans, he is back, 9 of 11 for 159 and 2 touchdowns through the air. Boys, when the Buccaneers hit their stride, they look unstoppable sometimes. Against one of the best defenses in the NFL.
They are the second worst team in the NFL to bet against while they're down after us. Like, you do not bet against us while we're down. You don't bet against the Bucs while they're down because they will kick your ass. And then that's what it's all about. I have not seen a Jim Harbaugh team get its ass kicked that badly in years. Like, you're going to have to go to the year before J.J. McCarthy was starting under center for them in college. And it just doesn't happen very often. And that's just because of how great this Bucs team is. And Mike Evans he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I'm just going to say that now. Like, some people doubt it and that, but he's got a ring. He is I think he's just moved above. He's just knocked Antonio Brown out of the top 25 of receivers in the NFL. So good for you there, Mike. He's probably going to get a lot higher than that. But just in terms of one of the most underrated guys of all time out there, he is it. But yeah, he's going in the Hall of Fame at the first time of asking, and he should do. And this Bucs team I still wouldn't want to play them. if you offered me the Eagles, the Rams, and the Bucks to play in the playoffs, the Bucks would be the last team I'd want to. I'd sooner face the Eagles or the Rams than the Bucks. So, yeah, they're just good team.
Yeah, I don't know, say like the Chargers did their best, and I'm not meaning that in a patronising way. Like it's just that second half explosion where they had what happened to us, kind of, where they just kept stalling out. Like Glad McConkey continued to do Glad McConkey things. You know, Quentin Johnson remembered to be a receiver again, so it seems he'll forget next week. So anyone doing player bops, bet on that. DJ Chark somehow existing, but just monster performance from the Bucks offense. Like Bucky, they found the running back. I know obviously they had Leonard Fournette. Then after that, kind of found it a bit. They found their guy again, and then Mike Evans will just continue doing Mike Evans things. Like I think he only needs like 350 yards again to break that 1,000 yard to continue that 1,000 yard streak, and he could realistically do it easily, which is scary. I agree he should be in the Hall of Fame. If Eli Manning's getting in there, then put Mike Evans in there. Simple.
Also, point to make on this, because obviously watching the Sky stuff, this was running in correlation with us. When Tarheeb still got the pick in that game, Jason Bell on commentary goes, "Oh, Tarheeb Skill, they got this really good guy. He's out of Rutgers." And immediately I went, "He's from Maryland, you nonce."
From where? From
He
where?
was from. They said he was from Rutgers.
Yeah, and you said he's from where?
Oh shit, he's from Maryland.
Thank you.
Sorry. And I instantly in my seat shouted, "You idiot, he's from Maryland." And I know that I'm a Brit sat here at home and he's there on the Sky panel going, "Oh, they got this really good guy from Rutgers." No, they didn't. That's just proof that they sit there and say whatever they want to because no one's going to fact check them. So, you know, they need some better experts on the Sky panel there. Like, do not do the Terps like that. I love the Scarlet Knights, but they don't get Tarheeb still.
Yeah. I agree. Luckily, I didn't hear the Sky commentary because I have it muted because it's too much audio for me. I can either have Matt or can have the Sky commentary, and I'd rather have Matt. So I have Sky muted. Otherwise, I would have done the same. Trust me. You know me. I'm a stickler for that. You know, Sky, if you're listening, prospective sports journalists here, come on. We can actually give you proper analysis. But yeah, like, fair play. Like, also, Jay McMillan, what a draft pick for the Bucks.
Yeah. Yeah, he's working out very well. Much better than the second round pick out of the same college.
I'm surprised you're not doing a victory lap about another receiver here as well in this one.
Oh, we did it already yesterday.
Oh, has he already done his victory lap? That's fine.
Top 10 player in the draft cycle and all that.
It's
I
like I'm
disagree,
speaking it into existence. I
still disagree.
I mean, you won't by the end of his career.
Probably will. You know me.
Maybe. We'll keep going back and forth on it. Lad was exceptional. Although
he was really good.
One of the responses in the chat was, "Does he block?" To which I had to confess, probably not as well as Amon-Ra St. Brown, but never mind. Right.
And shout out to former Monarch Stone Smart. I didn't actually realize he existed anymore. I will always appreciate seeing an Old Dominion Monarch succeed in the league. Like, I was hearing his name, I'm like, he's still alive. I didn't even know he was with the Chargers, but there you go. So Old Dominion rocking up this weekend for the Chargers.
Can I just rewind a second? Is this the man who 24 hours ago said that Malad McConkey is Amon-Ra on steroids?
He said what?
Not on Not on steroids, as in physically pumped up. That is not what I meant by it. You're taking it out of context.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's contentious.
Okay, it's nothing I didn't say not in the pre-draft process. So it's not like I haven't been consistent in saying that. But when I said it very much in the realm of he's faster than Amon-Ra, slightly taller, he's as good a route runner, and he's got a similar football IQ.
All right, you hate Amon-Ra, we get it. Okay, that's fine. That's just wow.
Exactly, Mike. Wow. Exactly.
And to be fair, I didn't say he is. I said he had the potential to be during the draft process, and now having a look at him and how well he's doing this season, I feel like I'm justified in my take.
Ooh.
Anyway, just letting that sit there. He's tied for 16th in receiving yards in the NFL as a rookie.
Stop pushing your agenda. We're aware. Stop pushing your agenda. We know I'm a Ross sucks. That's fine. Let's just deal with it.
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
No.
I mean, he wouldn't even be top 5 for receivers, would he? So, you know. Woohoo.
Right. Final game on the slate was Sunday Night Football, which was Packers at Seahawks. Seahawks lay an egg, played atrociously all game. Packers got out to a 14-0 lead. They couldn't stop the run at all. Jacobs was 26 for 94 and a touchdown. Jaden Reed 3 for 27, but it was like 5 yards per carry, 4 yards per carry, every single carry he had, which just meant they were moving the sticks. Gino 15 and 19 for 149 and a pick, then ended up getting a really bad injury, so Sam Howell came in. Gino's out for next week probably, and his status for the rest of the season is up in the air. So even though the Seahawks are 8-6, it looks like their season may well be done, depending on how well Sam Howell plays. Charbonnet had a good day on the ground, 8 for 54 and a touchdown, but they had to go move away from the run because it was so far behind. Love was good, but not fantastic. 20 of 27 for 229, 2 touchdowns. Both of those to Romeo Dobbs. The first one, where he... Was it the first one? I think it was the first one. Where he is maybe caught at the 5-yard line and just keeps his legs churning and just kind of drags the men over the line with him. So impressive. I hate loving Romeo Dobbs. It's not fair, but there we go. Jackson Smith and Jigba kept up his claim for being the best wide receiver on that Seattle team. He was 10 of 12 for 83, but we hoped for more from Seattle and they did not deliver.
Well, at least former Lions preseason star Jake Bobo got a catch.
I loved seeing Seattle get absolutely rammed at home. I said in my predictions, I said I know this is gonna be contentious, but I wanted the Packers to win. I hate Seattle more than I hate the Packers, and the Packers absolutely laid waste to them. Now I will shock the world by pre-saying this now for next Monday Night Football that I want the Saints to beat the Packers. Because I hate the Saints a ton, but I hate the Packers more. So there's a hierarchy here, but I'm open to the Packers losing games now. They've beaten the bad men at Seattle. Now they can lose to the bad men in New Orleans.
I needed you to draw me a diagram of the hierarchy of where
A Venn diagram of where all the hate is in there.
No, I'm talking pyramid, like a food pyramid. To the top, you have the most hated team and so on and so forth. I know it's probably going to be the Bears top.
I said I'm going to do a ranking for pain in the ass fan bases. Actually, the Bears would be low on that. I'm struggling now. The Vikings are very... The Vikings and the Rams are fighting out for me at the minute. The Vikings...
It's for me, it's the Vikings by far.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think there's less Rams fans. That's probably what does it. If there were more actual Rams fans in the world then, but the Vikings are probably number 1. The Rams are probably number 2.
Packers.
The Packers would be 3. Yeah, the Bears at the minute are irrelevant. I don't give a fuck about the Bears. They've flamed out. Don't care. They could be at 5. I don't know who's at 4 though. I don't know if there's another fan base that I dislike at the moment.
I mean, the thing is, in terms of general fan bases, Cowboys and Eagles are obviously famously really bad. But in terms of personal experience, I've never had any Cowboys or Eagles fans be bad to me.
I actually like Eagles fans. The ones we know are really sound, and the few I have actually interacted with, on Twitter or anything, have genuinely been pretty nice.
The UK and Ireland Eagles podcast is genuinely one of the best podcasts over here. They're so good, so knowledgeable, really friendly people.
I'd probably put Cowboys at 4 then. So you got Vikings, Rams, Packers, Cowboys, Bears. That's the hater scale at the minute. It could change, but it's getting so bad that I actually might slightly want the Bears to win today, and you know how deep my hatred for the Bears goes. To the point where there is part of me that wants to see Caleb get sacked 20 times tonight because I'm just fed up of how mouthy they get in the offseason. But now the Vikings, especially today, they've really got at me today. So if they lose to the Bears now, any shots they can take at us for losing to the Bills get eviscerated, and then we can just go straight back in at them. So I'm torn.
Ooh.
I'm really genuinely torn later. Like, that's how bad the Vikings fans are. They are actually making me slightly want the Bears to win, which I never thought would happen, ever.
So what I want to happen is for the Vikings to bring a cover zero blitz, everyone running at Caleb. The whole of the offensive line goes, not having anything to do with that, and you just have like 6 Vikings all bearing down Caleb. They hit him all together at the same time, but because they've all hit him, the ball pops up in the air. There's no Vikings looking around for the ball. It's received by DJ Moore, who walks in for a touchdown. I'm speaking it into existence. Caleb gets hammered, and the Bears still score. Who says no?
I want the Vikings to lose in a humiliating fashion like
that. Do you not think that would be humiliating and they're making a really good play for a stupid touchdown?
But I feel like I want Sam Darnold. I love his redemption story, by the way. He's great, but I'm sorry, Sam, but you're now the figurehead of this stupid movement, and you've got to take the king down. Like, Sam Darnold is the king right now, and you've got to go after the king, so he's going to have to suffer so that they all suffer.
To kill zombies, you've got to just I'll take off the head or destroy the brain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is I like Sam Darnold, but sorry, Sam, you're in the battle. You're on the battlefield now because they're rallying behind you, and they're really getting at us. So maybe like they need 1 first down to win it, and they fumble it up or something, and the Bears walk off field goal them some stupid mistake.
Oh, Bears walk off field goal. You know that shit's gonna get blocked.
No, it not only is it a Bears walk-off field goal, but they doink it and it goes in off the doink like the Chiefs did. Like, we're going to make this really, really painful for you.
Oh, guess what? They're already going to be in a lot of pain. Do you know who's doing the halftime show for that game?
Oh, God. Who?
Vanilla Ice! Because obviously it's the Vikings whiteout game, so they've got Vanilla Ice doing the halftime show.
Oh God!
What's worse, Vanilla Ice or that clip of me that I posted in Discord last Monday of me singing at a bar?
Yeah. Vanilla Ice.
Oh,
Ash, don't look at him, not me. I said you. Matt. That's brutal, Matt. That is absolutely brutal.
I mean, I haven't even watched it, to be honest. I saw the Barbie girls singing, and I realised very quickly I never wanted to watch Ash sing again.
Yeah, well,
I did a Lady Rodrigo at my party on Saturday.
You wore a cowboy
vampire
hat. Oh, I thought you meant you got on the cowboy hat.
That's a technically difficult song to sing.
Yeah, you're telling me we did blind karaoke, and I'm there. I'm like, I can hear it. I'm like, I know the song, but I was going, sucking like that. I had to literally grab my throat like that to try and hit the high notes.
I wouldn't have bothered. I would have just sung it an octave down.
Bloodsucker.
Yes, that would have been better. That would have been so good.
Oh, Screamo cover Vampire. I need to see if that exists now.
It should do if it doesn't already. Right. I think we've come to the end of this one. Anything you guys want to get off your chest before we get out of here? We do have a question. Do you think that we need to get someone else out there to fill the void that Aleem McNeil is vacating? Joseph C. is asking the question and says, we need to bring Sue back. He was at Ford Field for a game last week after deciding he's sick of the Sky Sports studio.
The only trouble I have with this, and I love him, what has it been, 2 years since he's played football now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The body forgets how much punishment it takes in games like this. And as good as Ndamukong Suh was, I worry that he's been out the game too long at this point. Like, if you're talking about a Watt brother, then yes, he's not been out long enough to, to have forgotten what it's all about yet. But I just fear Sue's been done too long. And it would be lovely, but I think we need to leave that kind of nostalgia in the past now.
I agree. I said it on Discord. I had a whole thing, didn't I? Where I was like, I'm not expecting a big move here. I know, so I referenced it put it on our Discord. Someone's already tweeted the Lions should be giving Leonard Fournette a call, and I'm like, You what? Just I think the way that this team is, it'll be more of an opportunity for Levi, for Miles Adams, for Jonah Williams to be more that they'll probably sign someone's practice squad to come in and take that spot. Do not expect a massive move because it's just not how this team works. And at this point, there's not much they can do unless you're bringing them in specifically for the playoffs. And even then, would someone come in when they could potentially be one and done? They might as well just give the snaps to Adams, to Williams, and go from there.
Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Yes, I'm gone. I just want to see if is he on their practice squad?
Oh yeah, Jerry should come home. Just saying that.
Yeah, Jerry should come. Yeah, that'll come back.
He is 100% locked into this system. He knows what it's all about. He's a culture fit and a position where we need some depth, heavily. So, and he's got no ill will towards Detroit either. So, I think he'd be back here in a heartbeat. But that's one former player you could certainly bring back.
Yeah, someone like that.
Yeah, I've seen like literally every player that the Lions have ever had on their practice squad or anything linked with coming back. But he's one of the ones who makes the most sense.
All right. Shall we?
Yeah, I think that's about it. I think we're all good.
All right. Our next show is going to be the College Football Podcast coming to you on Wednesday afternoon. And what are you talking about?
So obviously it's previewing the playoffs, which is happening this weekend. It's great for me. A whole day of playoff football on my birthday. I'm looking forward to that. Then we're going to be doing some draft stuff this week. We're going to be taking our initial look at. There's a lot of players who are declaring and that now, so we're going to have a little initial discussion on that before we get into the meat of it after the playoffs are done. So a little higgledy-piggledy of everything this week. Come join. If you have anything you want us to ask, just ask us, and we will sort it.
And then straight away following that, we're going to be doing our Bears preview on Wednesday evening, afternoon-ish, whenever the guys have finished a college show. So, you good? And you right?
Oh, no, Ashton. Ashton Daniels has committed to Auburn. Why would you waste your career?
Anyway.
He's the Stanford quarterback. I really like him. He's just committed to Auburn. He's committed career suicide.
Don't.
Man, that is not the move.
See where Luke's committed?
No.
Mississippi State.
I was about to say Southern Miss. Thought you could follow Rodemaker. He's gone to Miss State.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whose quarterback's gone to LSU?
Even though LSU's quarterback has gone back to school.
Yeah.
Why would he go back to be a backup?
He was a freshman this year, so he'll spend his sophomore year as backup, and then he'll be a starter as a junior, potentially. Fair. He might even get news. He might even be better than Newsmeyer. I think he already is, to be fair.
Hot take. Very hot take. Anyway, so college show Wednesday, Chicago preview following that. We'll be live on Sunday for the game, which is a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff. So you will be here with me and Ash at 6 p.m. UK time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Monday for the review show. And then we're into Christmas. It's not too far away. Lions don't play over the Christmas period. I think the next game is a week afterwards on technically Monday Night Football, but it's not, is it?
Yeah, because it's the San Francisco game, which is going to be fun.
It is. Hopefully. You can find us on socials. We're all the Lions UK, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Please do go and have a look at the TikTok because I'm sure that the Ant rant from earlier will be making an appearance at some point soon, and it's worth your time. Please don't forget to subscribe, rate us 5 stars. You guys know what to do. And Ash's preview articles on the website, rotluk.com. Just remains to thank you all for listening, to the guys for being here with me, diagnosing this loss. 12-2, still one of the best regular seasons the Lions have ever had. So, hold your heads up. We're going to pick ourselves up, and we're going to go and beat the Bears on Sunday. Let's go, Lions. One pride.
One pride.
One pride.
Recording stopped.
And we're out.